On digital radio,
BBC Sounds,
and your smart speaker.
Play BBC Radio Scotland.
With the BBC News at 2 o'clock, I'm Derek Ferguson. Police say a 14-year-old boy arrested in connection with the death of a schoolboy in Glasgow has now been charged. Friends of 15-year-old Amin Tekle are due to hold a vigil after he was pronounced dead in the city's St George's Cross area on Wednesday. Two boys, aged 14 and 15, had been arrested in connection. The 14-year-old will appear in court tomorrow. Police say investigations are continuing. Now, events have been taking place across the UK to mark the 5th anniversary of the start of the COVID pandemic. A lone bagpiper led a procession past a memorial wall of painted hearts in central London. That was followed by a ceremony outside Lambeth Palace. Sarah Woodward lost her mother and brother to COVID. She was there.
We've all shared tears today. We're remembering the kind of anger sits there. But because I think a lot of this could have been prevented, reduced. I don't think we managed the pandemic well as a nation. However, today is about remembering them and feeling part of a community of grief.
Syria's interim leader has called for national unity after days of clashes and revenge killings in areas traditionally loyal to the former president Bashar al-Assad. Ahmed al-Shara has insisted the situation is under control. The British-based war monitor, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, says more than 700 Alawite civilians have been killed. Lena Sinjab reports from Damascus.
There is a huge anger among people for this killing. The Alawites are scared because of what's happening, and the wider community in Syria, they're saying that the revolution they went out for is not represented by these kind of practices that are similar to Assad regime's practices on many Syrians. And they're calling on the government not only to prevent this, but to hold those who perpetrated the killing accountable and bring them to justice.
A number of business units have been destroyed in an overnight fire in Inverness. Emergency services were called to the Fairways Business Park around midnight yesterday. Properties including a baker and a hairdresser were razed, and a burnt-out car could be seen backed into the units. There are no reports of injuries. And Scotland's warmest day of the year so far was recorded yesterday. Temperatures reached 18.3 degrees Celsius in Threave in Castle Douglas. Well, Scotland's weather for this afternoon. It will be cloudy in the far north with rain spreading southwards, turning heavy for the Isles. Elsewhere, there will be hazy, sunny spells, but cloud will tend to increase as we get into later on this evening. Feeling mild as well. Temperatures around 12 to 16 degrees Celsius locally, up to 17 degrees Celsius for the south. A bit cooler for the northern and western Isles, 8 to 11 degrees Celsius. Tonight, fog will return across the north and east, clearer and drier elsewhere. That's the latest BBC Radio Scotland News.
On digital radio,
FM,
online at BBC Sport Scotland,
your smart speaker,
and BBC Sounds.
This is Sport Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Scottish football lives here.
Good afternoon and a very warm welcome indeed from me, Richard Gordon. We are halfway through the quarter-final lineup for this season's Scottish Gas Scottish Cup. Tomorrow night, join us as we bring you live commentary from Almond Vale, Livingston against St Johnstone. That game also available live on BBC Scotland. This afternoon, though, the live commentary comes from the East End of Glasgow. It is the third tie, with Hearts and Aberdeen already through. It's Celtic and Hibernian who go head-to-head. We'll bring you all the action in the company of John Collins and Pat Bonner, and our match commentator, Liam McLeod, who can bring us that team news.
Thanks, Richard. The sun piercing through the early spring chill here in Glasgow, and what a sight it is as well to see such a huge away support. Around about 7,000 Hibs fans off to our right. It'll certainly be the biggest away support here since the days Rangers were afforded the same number of supporters here. So it's going to make for a fabulous atmosphere, and what a tie it is. It's the tie of the round quite clearly. Two really informed sides. You know how well Celtic are doing, but Hibs as well, this fabulous run that they're on just now. And of course they inflicted just a second domestic defeat on Celtic a fortnight ago thanks to Josh Campbell's double in that game in Edinburgh. Maida pulled one back, of course had won controversially ruled out after the ball was adjudged to have gone over the byline. I think that's gone down as an error in the annals since then, but it didn't affect the outcome on the day as Hibs look to come here and end Celtic's hopes of a treble. One change for both sides this afternoon, with Adam Ida dropping out and Jota coming in for the holders. Schmeichel in goal, Johnston, Carter Vickers, Trusty and Schloop at the back. Engels, McGregor, Hatate, Kuhn, Jota, Maida. And that is the Celtic starting 11. And Brendan Rodgers yet to lose a home domestic cup tie. The bench for the hosts: Sinisalo, Taylor, Ida, Yang, McCowan, Kenny, Murray and Ralston. For Hibs, that one change, Warren O'Hara came off during the derby a week ago today. He's fit enough to take a place on the bench, but he's replaced by Lewis Miller in the starting 11. That was the substitution that David Gray made last week. Jordan Smith in goal, just signed that new deal as well. He's been pretty impressive since displacing Josef Bursic between the sticks for Hibs. So it's Miller, Bashiri, Iredale at the back, the Cadden twins on either side, with Triantis and Mariah Welsh in the middle. Campbell will support Martin Boyle and Kieran Bowie. The bench for the visitors is Bursic, O'Hara, Levitt, Johan, Obita, Hoylett, Gale and Kukarevich. Hibs' last defeat was here at Celtic Park. It was a 3-0 defeat, but they actually performed pretty well on the day and felt aggrieved to be on the wrong end of such a scoreline, but haven't lost a single game since then. The referee's last season's final ref, Nick Walsh, with Kevin Clancy on VAR.
Liam, thank you very much indeed. It is a 3 o'clock kickoff. We will hear shortly from Pat Bonner and from John Collins. But let's hear right now live from Brendan Rodgers, who's with Kerdine Itzan.
Brendan, the two form teams in the country coming together in the quarter-finals of the Scottish Cup. Does this feel a bit special to you today?
Yeah. I think the anticipation coming into the game. Obviously, Hibs in great form. Us, the holders of the competition, and playing at home, and we should have a great atmosphere.
Absolutely. 7,045 Hibs fans here today. I think not since the days of Rangers with their old allocation have we seen an away support like that. That should lend a fabulous atmosphere here. I'm sure your supporters will be turning up in big numbers as well.
Well, they always do. Whether we're home or away, Celtic always have the support for the team, which is amazing. So yeah, I think that having that, I've been here before. I think it was Morton away back in my first time here. They brought a big allocation as well, and Falkirk, even when they were here, had a great allocation. So I think that's what the Scottish Cup gives. It gives those extra tickets to the supporters to come in. So it should be a fantastic atmosphere.
Special competition for yourself as well. You've never lost a Scottish Cup tie.
Yeah, well, that's the plan, to keep going in that way. But we understand this is a difficult game for us. But for us to get to the semi-final, we have to be Celtic today, which has been really aggressive in our game, and our aim, obviously, from the very first moment of the game is to attack the game from then until the last whistle.
With that in mind, you've brought Jota back into the team. You've got that fluid front three, Jota, Kuhn and Maida.
Yeah. Well, Jota's still finding his place in the squad and the team and his fitness. So for us, it's something that I can rotate and change. And Adam's always there to bring into the game. Yang, as you've seen, come into the game, and that has been the real benefit of the squad this season. We've got guys that can come in and make the impact. You've seen it last week. We look McCown, and the guys coming in makes a real difference for us.
Someone who looks like they're making an impact is Jeffrey Schloop in the team again today. Are you able to keep him beyond the summer? Is that an option for you? Would you like to do that?
I don't know. I think initially it was just come in and adapt to our playing style and support the squad, and anything further than that we will look at later on down the line.
And certainly the options he gives you in the games have been good. He chipped him with a goal the other week, and he's been solid at the back as well. Yeah,
he's super professional. He fits the bill for us. That's what's always important with the players that we bring in. His mentality's good. Top professional. You see his body, you see his physicality at 32 years of age, and that's because he looks after himself. So he's really adapting well, and I've obviously got Greg on the side as well if I need to bring in.
We saw how good Hibs were against you a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure you relish that kind of challenge. For them coming here, though, and you've been at pains to stress this, difficult game for them.
Yeah, absolutely. people will look at the fairy tale for Hibs, but I'm not interested in a fairy tale for any other team other than Celtic. So for us, we respect the opponent, of course. Done great over these last 3 months, and they've obviously shown that if we're not quite on it, that they can get a result. But for us, our whole focus over the course of the week is to be right there in the game from the first whistle and look to add as much pressure as we possibly can.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It has been a remarkable run of consistency from Brendan Rodgers in this competition. In terms of the Scottish Cup, they've won 6 of the last 8. Only St Johnstone once and Rangers once have interrupted their dominance since 2016. And indeed, Hibernian, despite being this fantastic run, they have not won at Celtic Park in over 15 years. Got a few draws along the way, but it has been as tough for them and it has been for just about every other side going to Celtic Park. Some interesting thoughts from Brendan Rodgers. We'll get to them in a moment or two. Pat Bonner, give us your take on that Celtic lineup. Is it the one you anticipated?
Yeah, I think so. After the game against St Mirren, I thought the last 20 minutes, of course, they got a real impact with Yang, McCowan and Jota coming off the bench and Maeda going through the centre, and I think that was always going to be probably what he was going to go with today. And that's a strong team, to be honest. As an attacking type team, of course, with Jota, Kuhn and Maeda and Hatate and Ingles. Those guys throughout the team, they will play the normal way that they normally play, but they know they're up against a difficult team. They're a good team. There's an incredible run that David Gray has on. It's been, 15 games since they played here at Celtic, and 11 wins and 4 draws. That is incredible, considering where they were. And everybody was talking about David Gray maybe under pressure and under real pressure. So he's done magnificent. So, and then of course beating Celtic and drawn with Rangers in that sort of run also. So they know they're up against a team that's high in confidence, Celtic. So they'll be wanting to continue what he did against St Mirren. Yang's probably the one that might be feeling a little bit unlucky not to be in the team. I think Kuhn's gone off slightly. Still a very, very good player, a player who can score goals and all that. But I think Yang, now whether he's thinking Yang is more an impact player coming off the bench, and he was superb against St Mirren, and I thought he was the difference, just not just his goals, but his energy, and he just lifted him up to a different level. So he might feel unlucky, but the rest of them, probably that's what I would go with too.
John Collins, your thoughts on the Celtic lineup first of all?
No surprise, a strong team as usual. First thing you look at is the top of the pitch. Maeda, Kuhn and Jota, all goal scorers. Jota's came back, and the entertainer. Every time he gets the ball, you think in the final third he's going to create something or score a goal. Maeda's form, his goal scoring is incredible. If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, would Maeda be a central striker scoring 25-30 goals for Celtic, I said I don't see that, but he's proved me wrong. He's got a terrific work ethic on top of the goals. He works tirelessly for the team, and Kuhn's proved this season especially he's a goal scorer and a creator as well. And behind him, Ingles, Hatate, McGregor, midfield's all comfortable on the ball, but they all like to get in the score sheet as well. So difficult day for Hibs, but an exciting one for them.
Yeah, absolutely exciting. We'll get into Hibs in just a moment or two. Just in terms of Maeda, it is bad. It's 26 goals. Is he now the preferred central striker following the departure of Kyogo? Is he ahead of? I think he clearly is ahead of Adam Ida right now.
He is, because he's scoring so many goals. But he can do that from both through the middle and from a wide area. We've seen him, and it's his pace. It's all about his pace and anticipation and energy, and he gets into positions, and he's almost first to react among his own colleagues and also against the opposition. We've seen him scoring goals. We say, oh, suddenly he's in, and he's scoring ones that just maybe even tap-ins, and I think it's just that sort of pace that has made him into that type of player. I don't think he's technically brilliant, from John can talk about that, but I think what he has is he's got that almost dynamism that I think the defenders in Scotland can't cope with it at this moment in time, and that's what's made him, and that's why he's got so many goals so far. So I think playing either positions, and he can move it around. Adam Ida's a different type of player, we know that, but I would just love to see him have some of that energy and that sort of kind of almost anticipation maybe that Maeda has got, because he's got the qualities. It's just that he's young and he's not maybe just hitting it off and scoring as many goals, and then you're almost going to be contrasted to the guy who is scoring goals, and that's the difference.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal campaign that he is having. That is the Celtic lineup then from Hibernian's point of view. It must have been a fairly straightforward decision by David Gray, you'd have thought, John, just having to make that one enforced change.
Yeah, I think when your team's playing well, scoring goals, you don't make much changes. He's had the same system for the last 8 weeks, and the personnel hasn't changed. But I think for me the key to this Hibs team is the wing backs. I'm really liking Nicky Carden and Chris Carden, the wide areas. Two players who get up and down. 1 minute they're in the full back areas, then they're in the midfield. Next thing they're wingers getting to the byline. I give them a lot of credit because their attitude is unbelievable, what they give to the team in and out of possession.
What's really struck me at times, John, is how often Chris or Nicky delivers, and it's Chris or Nicky who's on the end of it at the back post.
Well, to do that, one, you've got to have an incredible fitness level, and two, you've got to have a desire to get in at the back post, and that's what the both of them have. Their attitude is outstanding, but physically they're excellent. And what I like probably most of all is their delivery into the box. They're a striker's dream. Maybe 15 yards from the byline or 20, they whip them in beautifully, make it so difficult for the goalkeeper, bending away for the goalkeeper in behind centre half. So from Celtic's point of view, they'll want to stop the ball getting them, but from Hibs, as they did in the second half against Hearts, which changed the flow of the game, they got the ball out to Nicky Carden really early, and then he delivered balls in, and all of a sudden the Hibs fans and the players, they got excited and they were creating chances. So Martin Boyle, we've got to talk about him as well. His pace, he's one of those players that he chases lost causes, he makes bad balls into good balls, epitomised by that goal against Hearts. It's just a long ball played up the pitch. Most strikers would just have looked at their player and said, I'm not chasing that. What does Martin Boyle do? As he always does, he chases it, puts the pressure on the defender who makes a mistake, bang, it's in the back of the net. So from a manager and a midfielder's point of view, that's what you like at the top of the pitch. If you've got that pace here at Celtic Park, we know Celtic are going to dominate, probably pin Hibs in, but all it's going to take every now and again, if Hibs win it, can they flip it over the top for Boyle to use his pace to get in behind Celtic's back four. Got to speak about Bowie again, 6'4", he's come into the team, he's had a terrible time injury, he's done really well, especially that last game against Celtic. He was leaning against the centre halves, causing them problems. He won't last probably 90 minutes because of his injuries, but we hope to get a good hour out of him. And him and Boyle are forming a nice partnership.
Pat, you've been impressed with the way David Gray and this team have turned things around after, well, I mean, you think back to, I was touching on this the other day when they had drawn that 3-3 game with Aberdeen, which kind of almost felt like a kickstart for them. But I mean, they were bottom of the table, they were miles adrift, everything was going horribly wrong. The transformation has been absolutely stark, hasn't it?
It has, and I'm delighted for David, and you know, at the time, and I'm delighted for young Scottish coaches, managers, people who are trying to work their way in the game, and you take on a big job like Hibs is a big job in Scotland, and you have to find a way to survive. You know, otherwise you could be out of the game very quickly and you're gone. So delighted for him, and delighted the way that he's gonna, and he's been calm, he's been collected, he hasn't panicked. You know, he's probably worked very, very hard with his staff, and I think he's got that connection with the players. It just took probably a couple of ones to build the confidence, and if you've built the relationship, that whole sort of kind of almost social skills that you have to have now with your players, if you've built that and worked on that and kept that intact when you're going through a bad time, when you get the result, then and you start going on a little bit of a run, then that actually comes to the fore so much more. And you can see even against Hearts when you know, they got away with probably the result, the connection they had also with the fans. You know, and the fans were probably giving them stick early on, and you know, questioning whether David Gray, homegrown talent you could call him, was he the man to take them forward. But when they have now success, you can see that connection, and it's a wonderful connection. It was great to see them singing the songs and all connected with that, and all of the players that come in has fitted into that now, and they're in a great position. They are in a great position. I don't know how good a team they are. This will be a test today for them. It'll be really interesting for me to see what tactics they deploy. Will they sort of maybe take a little chance with the two up front? Will they go and press Celtic a little bit higher and not hang back, or will they just drop back, hoping to play, as John described, on the counter attack a little bit more with the pace of Boyle? Will they play maybe a kind of a medium block and then sort of can almost press Celtic when they need to press them, but not just hang around, you know, and play a low block around the edge of your box? Because I think then you're in trouble against Celtic when you do that here.
I've been doing this a long time. I've lost track of the amount of times you've been looking at a particular team, a particular season, whether it be Aberdeen or Lothian, Hibernian, at times Dundee United, maybe Motherwell, great runs, and you think this is the time where they go and topple Celtic at Celtic Park, or Rangers at Ibrox when they've been in a stronger position, and almost always the big team comes out on top. So is there anything, John, about this Hibernian team that can see them pull off what would still be seen as a big surprise if they were to win at Celtic Park this afternoon?
They'll be coming here with hope and optimism, there's no doubt. They've beaten Celtic a couple of weeks ago, albeit they got a little bit of luck. They're fully confident. I don't think there's no pressure on them. The pressure was 2 months ago when they were bottom of the league.
Yeah.
Everything's positive around the teams at the moment. Don't get me wrong, Celtic are big favourites here at Celtic Park. The statistic you said earlier, 15 years since Hibs won here at Celtic Park. That tells you how difficult it is. But Hibs are creating chances. Set pieces that are a real threat because the delivery is so good. They've got a 6'4" centre forward, so anytime they get corners or free kicks in and around the box, they'll be whipped in at pace. So that'll be their best for me. Their best hope of scoring goals here today will be from set pieces. But to get set pieces high up the pitch, you've got to be brave. You can't sit back. And I think they got their victory last week at Easter Road, I think, because of the bravery at the start of the game. They went at Celtic, pressed them, got the early goal. All of a sudden, tails were up, energy levels went up, fans were cheering clearances and tackles, and they got right behind them. If you sit back, let Celtic take control of the game, I think it's very rare you win a game. To win against Celtic here, you've got to score the first goal, and I think Celtic are at their most vulnerable early in the game when they've not settled. So I'd like to see Hibs form kick-off. Let's go for it. Let's go and try and put them under pressure. Balls in their box, score an early goal. But it's easier said than done because Celtic are a good team. And this is
actually, we've seen that a few times recently, Pat. The game against Aberdeen, Celtic were really out of second or third gear. They won 5-1 eventually, but there were big chances given up to Aberdeen in the early part of that game. And there have been others early in the season where what John says there has been the case. If the opposition are given chances like that at Celtic Park, they have to be clinical, they have to be ruthless, don't they?
Yeah, and a lot of teams, that's their downfall. They haven't been able to score. You know, we watched Mirren last week, my word, they created 4 unbelievable chances in that first half, and they weren't able to take them. And then Celtic end up getting the goal, and yes, they got a couple back, but Celtic ran out 5-2 victors, and now was it probably against Aberdeen too was exactly the same. You're absolutely right, and Celtic weren't that good against Aberdeen from a point of view of the way that they passed the ball, that sort of 1-2 touch pass, and their accuracy, and that their control was poor, their passing was way off at times, but they still won the game because they had that sort of those players in those front areas clinical when they get the chances, But you're right, if you come here, it depends on the tactics you play. I think you've got to try to, as John described, pressurise them to a point. If you sit back, they'll find a way. Celtic, they've got too good of players to not create chances if you just sit back and allow them to dictate and control the game. But if you put them under that little bit of pressure, and then when a chance comes along, you've got to at least make Schmeichel make a save. That's the key, and he has come up with big saves, I've got to say, Schmeichel, at times.
You know what it's like, Pat? When teams come here often, they just sit back and make it so easy for Celtic. Don't put them under any pressure, and that's what Celtic want. The defenders get easy touches of the ball possession. What they don't want is put under pressure early in the game. So that's the key, but the reality is you won't be able to put under pressure for the whole game. Celtic will control large parts of it. But the good thing for Hibs is if Celtic do control, and they will, and pin Hibs back with Boyle there, they've got that one player, that one clearance. He can get in behind Celtic and he can run away for the central defenders. So that's Hibs have got that in their army. But what I don't want to see is just sit back, let Celtic control the early stages of the game and knock the ball about, and Hibs just sit back. But I don't think I'll see that for this David Gray team today. As I can say, there's no pressure on them. They're in a great run, fully confidence. Come to Celtic Park and go for it. Give your fans, 7,000 Hibs fans here today, they want to see their team going for it. You know what, they might get beat 4 or 5, but go and have a go.
Actually, that will be really interesting. It'd be fantastic, won't it? Just for the general atmosphere of the game. The fact that there is such a large away support there. We know how noisy those Hibs fans can be, Joe.
Well, there's nothing better than when you've got a good away support. They start singing, all of a sudden the Celtic fans, they say, oh, we can't have the Hibs fans out singing us. All of a sudden you've got two sets of supporters trying to out-sing each other. Too often when there's no away fans or small numbers, it takes it away from the atmosphere. There's no doubt about that. So it's great for Hibs to have 7,000 fans here. It'll be an excellent day out for them, and hopefully the players can give them something to sing about.
Yeah, I just wonder, Richard, how the benches will dictate today the game. You know, and you look at Celtic, they have Adamir Yang, and we talked about them already, Luke McCarron, you know, they've got the other Johnny Kenny, those kind of guys, and then if you look at the Hibs, they've got the experience of Hoylett and Gale to come off, and they're very good players, and they would love coming off the bench here to make an impact, so it'll be an interesting one.
It sure will. Right, let's get down live to Carradine again, just been joined by David Gray.
David, your team's just jogged past me with massive smiles on their faces. Same with yourself. Is it fair to say you guys really fancy your chances today?
Oh, listen, I think going into the game, we couldn't go into the game in any better frame of mind. That's from a results, performances, everything that goes with it. But still, obviously, this is still the toughest test in Scottish football. We're all very much aware of that. But it's also the test of the players that test yourself against the very best. We also need to look forward to these opportunities, and when they don't come along very often, we're one game away from Hampden. That's a motivation to the players. Yes, it's a really tough test, but one the players are looking forward to.
It is a huge test, obviously, playing here, but the way you played at Easter Road, that must give you massive confidence going in here today. I know it's a different game, different ground, but you were great that day.
Yeah, we done well. No, listen, there was loads of things within the game we done really well, and we needed to be our absolute best to get a result on that day. It's going to take the same level of performance, if not even more, today to make sure we try and get a positive result today. History tells you this is a real difficult venue. I know it's 2010 since the last time a Hibs team came here and actually won. The last time they won in the Scottish Cup was the year they won it in 1902, so it tells you how difficult it is. We're under no illusions of that. We know where we need to be at our very best. We know Celtic are going to come out the traps as they always do, and they're the best team in the league for a reason. So listen, we're not coming here thinking that because we had a positive result the last time it's going to make it any easier. We're very much aware of the challenge it's going to be.
Given that history, it would be an historic achievement for you guys today if you were to do it.
Yes, very much so. I think that's something I've been trying to do with the players for a number of weeks now, which is trying to give us our own incentives to change history in a positive way, and we've been doing that for a number of weeks now, which is real credit to the players for believing in it, buying into it, and then I think then when you start to feel, you know, we've got 7,000 supporters coming here today that are starting to buy into it as well, so no, we're in a real good place, but as I've already touched on there, we're not coming into the game thinking it's going to be any easier because we're on a good run.
What's crucial for you to send those, well, I was going to say send the supporters home happy, to get them up for the game for a kick-off?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be a really fast start, as it always is when you come here. The start of the game is always vital. Last couple of times we've been here, we've started the game quite well, but then lost really early goals. Flip side to that, Easter Road, we scored first. That was obviously really important on that day. But probably, you know, there is 7,000 Hibs supporters here, but there's 53,000 Celtic supporters that are going to be really loud and get right behind their team as they always are. So you need to manage that, you need to be able to deal with that. But you also need to show composure and belief on the ball to try and frustrate Celtic at times and not just give them it back, because Celtic are a team that dominate the ball every week, and I think we need to be really disciplined without it and then really brave when you do have it. And I think you need to try and find that balance.
Do you expect your goalkeeper to be busy today, and are you thrilled that he's agreed a new contract? Talk to me about George. You have to be patient, but that's a reward for him, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm delighted for Smudge, as you've just touched on there. You know, he joined the club, was very patient at the start, had to wait for his opportunity, and since he's had his opportunity, he's been fantastic. Not just in his level of performance, but since he joined the club, he's been brilliant in terms of the character he is, how he trains every single day, and just the type of person he is. You know, he's a real good lad. He really deserves everything he's got, and I'm delighted to see him doing so well. And as you've just touched on, coming to a place like this, you're going to need your goalkeeper on the top of his game, and we hope he is today.
Just one last one. this is what you guys are in football for, isn't it? It's games like this, occasions like this. You want your guys to leave everything possible out there.
Yeah, that's it. The message to the players is make sure you come off that pitch with zero regrets. Now, if you give absolutely everything, every single player's going to need to be their best, like I've just touched on there. But if you can come off having given absolutely everything, it gives you the best possible chance to get a result.
Should be a classic.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he just hopes Hibs win, doesn't he? I don't suppose David Gray worries too much whether it's a classic or not. But, I mean, very interesting. Much of there were comments he made there that were very similar to Brendan Rodgers, who said that we're going to attack them. We're going to attack them from the first whistle. And David was really highlighting the fact that he anticipates a fast start. So it's in a scenario like that, Pat, if you are the team who you're expecting to be under pressure, you need to be switched on from the very first whistle, don't you?
Yeah, you do, of course. You know, and listen, I've said it so many times, if you do go and attack, it's what you do behind that attack, how you organise yourself and so on. Listen, we're just talking about Rangers against Fenerbahce the other night, and when they went with almost five players up front, and they had nothing in midfield, and Rangers just ran through them from a counter-attack perspective. And that's Fenerbahce with Mourinho. So, listen, it's a lesson. You know, you cannot come to Celtic Park and get done on a counter-attack, and Celtic are so quick from that perspective. So that's the bit that he'll be doing, but he will try to push forward. Listen, I think was it Kilmarnock in the last round against Celtic, or one of the rounds
in the
against
previous
Celtic?
round,
yeah, went and almost pressed Celtic really high, really took a chance. It was a brilliant exhibition actually from them. They went almost man for man at the back, and Kyogo played up front, and I think the big boy Wright was almost man for man with him, and almost the two other centre halves were way out wide on the wingers, and I was a real risk taker, but it was brilliant to actually watch, because they actually put Celtic under so much pressure at times, but they still got done, and that's the problem. That's the problem. Celtic will always find a way to get through you, and if you press high, how you get the distances right, how you force them into errors. But Celtic will always find a way to play through you, and then when they play through you, they've got that pace of Kuhn, Maeda and so on, and they're very, very dangerous. So it's very, very difficult tactically to get it right, and you've got to be watching. The manager's got to be watching all the time. You may set them up, and training all week and how you're going to play, but it's how you adapt during the game. That's the critical factor, and players need to be tuned in that also. They need to be able to maybe take a step back when they need to do, and then press when the time is right, and getting that balance right is critical against Celtic.
And he talked about that as well, didn't he? He said, John, we need to be really disciplined without the ball. We need to be positive when we're on it. I mean, there are so many elements that you have to get absolutely right if you're going to win a game like this.
Yeah, I love, it's so nice listening to David Gray. He's full of energy and positivity. The young manager who went through that horrendous start to the season, and now you just hear it in his voice. He's excited. He's coming to Celtic Park with his team in full form. The challenge he's got is going to contain Celtic. He's going to cause them problems. He's studied Celtic in the last 3 weeks, and one thing that anybody studying and watching Celtic last week, they're conceding chances to opponents. Conceded 2 at Hibs away, could have been more. Conceded a couple at St Mirren, should have maybe conceded 4 against Aberdeen. So he'll have focused that. He'll have told his wide players, his forwards, there's chances against this Celtic team. If we're brave enough to try and pass it, get it out wide and get balls in the box, we can create and score chances against Celtic. And I believe they can. The question for me is, as Hibs defensively, 3 central defenders, are they good enough to keep Celtic out? I think Celtic will score a good number of goals against this Hibs back four today. I'd like to say no, I'm just telling the truth what I'm watching. Hibs, they're a good, hard-working unit, but I see mistakes still in the back 3.
Yeah, sorry Richard, just on that point about, if you get the ball wide and the 2 cannons will get good. John described the crosses that they deliver into the box, but it's the second phase. It's always the second phase. If you get enough bodies in the box and that's you taking risk, because you know you've got the two up front, fine, great, but you need to get a midfielders coming in on that second ball, and that's when then you become just slightly vulnerable, and Celtic can then exploit that. But from that, if you do go and commit, there is chances there. And John's already said it. John said 2 against St Mirren. There was 4 in that first half, and then they won also in the second half that they could have scored from, and that's without the 2 goals that they did score. So from that perspective, there's always chance of scoring goals. Yeah, bravery is the word, taking risk, but it's how much risk do you take? Are you organised behind that risk? That's the key, and can you deal with the pace of Maeda? You know, that's another question. You know, your centre backs, is any centre backs in Scotland capable of dealing with his pace, dealing with Kuhn's pace at times? That's a big question, I think.
It's going to be absolutely fascinating. One man that he was talking about there, Pat, was Jordan Smith, the goalie who he arrived. He played in the League Cup defeat to Kelty. We then didn't see him for about 4 or 5 months, but he came back in. He played in that 3-3 draw with Aberdeen, I referenced, and from memory he was a bit all over the place that night, but he's kept faith in him, David Gray. He's been the #1 keeper right the way through. Clearly he has caught the eye. He's made some brilliant saves, I've got to say, in terms of being an out-and-out shot stopper at times, and he's now got a new 3-year deal. Has he impressed you?
I haven't seen enough of him, I'll be perfectly honest, and that's the question, and I'm sorry I can't answer that straight out. I like to see a goalkeeper over a period of time to make up your mind about him, unless you've seen him in the past. I haven't seen much of him, so from that perspective. But listen, when you're in the team and the team is going well and you build a relationship, Bushiri, I think, has also improved and did well, because there was always a mistake there for me, and especially when he was asked to maybe build under the other managers, build from the back, there was always that mistake, and you could see it, and then the confidence goes down, and that's what kills goalkeepers, kills centre halves. But if you're high in confidence and you're doing well, then you will be able to make good decisions and make the big saves when necessary. But I look forward to seeing him today, to see, and I might be able to answer that question better at the end of this game.
I mean, it's been an interesting, John, sorry, I was just going to say, it's been an interesting career trajectory. I mean, he was at Forest for a long time, only played about 50 games in total there, had various loan spells, and the likes of Barnsley and Mansfield, Huddersfield, Stockport, never really seemed to work out for him, and for a long spell you began to wonder, didn't you, whether he was going to make the breakthrough at Easter Road?
Well, early in the season Bursick started the games, and one thing Bursick never did, he never made any saves hardly, and his distribution was very average. I mean,
it's a bit of a flaw for a goalkeeper, isn't it?
I remember one here at Celtic also for a while,
and so I was sitting watching and thinking, I think he needs to be replaced, and sure enough Jordan Smith got his opportunity. No surprise to any Hibs fans, and all of a sudden he came in and started making a few saves. All of a sudden the confidence going, they got a couple of victories, and now we're talking about getting a new 3-year contract. And honestly, I think he's decent shot stopping. I think he's average with his feet. He's not a goalkeeper that likes to play out from the back. If Celtic put any pressure on high up in the pitch in the back three and it goes back to the goalkeeper, there's only one thing he's doing, and that is launching it. So it'll be interesting to see how.
Yeah, but John, that you know, there's nothing wrong with that if you can play it long into space or into the areas that if Celtic go and pressure high, there's space in different parts of the pitch, and you've got to make that decision and play into those areas. And you know, sometimes it's all about playing short passes out the back. No, it's not. It's about dragging people in to create space and then exploiting space high up the pitch. And if you can do that as a goalkeeper, and you've got that ability, then it's all about
100%
technical ability.
I'll clarify that. So when I say a keeper lump, there's two ways. A keeper can lump it up the pitch as high as you want towards the tallest player in the opposition.
The way we used to do it in the old days.
And for me, that is just a giveaway. But a clip and it drops into a striker's chest or onto Cadden's chest, that's a quality long ball, and that's when I'm talking about a good classy goalkeepers who can play out for the back. I'm talking about Schmeichel. Schmeichel doesn't launch it 60 feet in the air up the pitch to centre half's heads. He clips it out to winger's chest. He clips it into centre forward's chest. He drills it through the middle into Callum McGregor's feet. That's what I call a top quality goalkeeper's feet, and Hibs don't have that quality. That's me being honest when I'm watching him. He's done well. He's made saves, big saves at important times, which have meant Hibs have went on to win games. So he's done a good job for Hibs. There's no doubt about that. but I think under pressure he'll give the ball away. That's what I mean.
It's going to be a fascinating part of the game. We'll look back in the two ties that have already been played in just a moment or two. Just one final thought in terms of something that Brendan Rodgers said earlier when we spoke to him, Pat. He said, we have to be Celtic today. And I think everyone probably knows exactly what he means by that. And if they are Celtic today, almost irrespective of who they're playing, they win, don't they?
Yeah. There's no team in Scotland can live with them when they play that one-touch, two-touch pass, and what intensity, and they move the ball, and then the movement off the ball. They have all those attributes, and every single player in that team, no matter if you're a centre-half or a full-back or holding midfield players, we know McGregor is, he's the orchestrator. And from that perspective, if that clicks, no team can live with it. And, you know, if you move the ball and move the ball quickly, no matter how much you close people down, you can't get near Celtic. And on this pitch, actually, I was talking to one of the, I won't say who it was, Celtic insiders, and on the technical staff.
You and your Celtic insiders.
Just one of the technical staff who's high up, but he was talking about the pitch. He says the pitch isn't good at the moment. And, you know, we watched the Aberdeen game. Do you remember, Richard?
Yeah, certainly.
I thought Celtic's passing that day in control was poor. I didn't say it already. And that might be down to it. Players now are used to playing on quality pitches. Brendan Rodgers came and changed the pitch here when he came first, because he wanted a pitch where players are heads up all the time, almost when the ball's coming to them. But the moment that you lose it, and I think furthermore, if the pitch isn't great, and now players really struggle. Nowadays pitches were terrible.
Well, I'm looking at this pitch and it looks pretty good to me.
It was an interesting comment from and I didn't provoke the question.
But actually, Brendan Rodgers himself, he mentioned that in one of the post-match interviews recently. That I think it was the Aberdeen game when he said it. He said, "Look, the pitch isn't at its best." I mean, you think back to when you guys were playing, especially at this time of year, you would barely see any green.
We won a championship, Richard. Honestly, we won a championship, and I look back at the pictures now and the videos. There wasn't one blade of grass on the pitch. It was a sand base. It was just sand all over the place. We trained on it, I think, during the winter, and that just killed the grass. But we were still able to play because we're quality players. That was the difference.
These players don't know how lucky they are walking out onto this pitch. It's like a bowling green. No excuses, no bubbles here today. 1 and 2 touch I'm expecting from Celtic, but I think the key for Celtic is when Celtic are at their very best, it's free flowing 1 and 2 touch, but when they lose it, it's instant press, not a delayed press. That's the key. When Celtic are at their best, it's an instant press for the front three, and Kyogo was the man that started that. He was a master at the instant press, and he went and petrified centre halves in the midfield, and the wingers followed him. I think Celtic have lost a bit of that. When Ida comes in, he's not got that pressing, and that's why I think he's probably out of the team, and why Maeda's back in. Maeda brings that energy and that pressing. So I would imagine today I'm going to see a Celtic team that's going to try and suffocate Hibs at every opportunity. They're going to a high press and don't let Hibs breathe.
No, I kind of say, the Japanese players has given that high press, that quick intensity to the Celtic team. There's no question. Kyogo had it, Maeda's got it. There's very few players that has been brought up in that way. The Japanese, you could go to Japan and almost pick 15, 16 players, all of that high energy, that quickness.
And for a manager, it's gold dust. And for supporters, when the supporters get a cheer when they see goals and great passes, the Celtic supporters here, they love it when they see forward players pressing as if their life depends on it.
Yeah, and there's one other thing, Richard. The press is one thing, it's an organised press, but what they also do, counter press. When they lose the ball in any shape or form, there'll be 3 or 4 players after it, and that's another mentality that you have to almost work with your players, and you need a group of players that will do it, and that comes from training. That comes from that sort of real intensity in training. Ange Postecoglou had it, Brendan's carried it on, and the players enjoy it actually when they do it.
And sometimes that eases off during the period of the season when you've got 2 games a week, midway in Europe. Sometimes they're a little bit tired, and it's harder to continue that on the Saturday after an away game in Europe. But the Celtic teams had a free week, rested up, so I would imagine a high energy performance from Celtic today. I just hope Hibs can cope with it.
Hibernian head to Celtic Park in the back of a wonderful run. No defeats in their last 15. That includes, of course, a victory over Celtic at Easter Road on the 22nd of February. But since then, Celtic have bounced back. They've won their next 2 matches. They've scored 5 in each. against both Aberdeen and St Mirren. One of these two will be heading through to the semi-finals of this season's Scottish Cup. Still to come tomorrow night, live commentary, Livingston against St Johnstone. We've already brought you coverage of the two ties which have seen Aberdeen and Heart of Midlothian already book their places in the last four.
More choice of football than ever before. This is Sports Sound.
Vargas from distance. Oh, what a goal! Oh, what a goal! And it's Khartoum. Top corner. Shaughnessy with a header. Shaughnessy with a goal. Bedlam in the away end. Dundee celebrate. And Spittle with the right foot. Flicked on. It's in the bottom corner. Bottom corner. Vargas celebrates. But I think that's come off a Dundee head. Shanklands looks up, rolls it to Khartoum. Wonderful take on the turn. He's up to the edge of the box. Oh, what a goal! Brilliant goal! That is absolutely sensational. Again, from Sander Khartoum. And Heart of Midlothian may just have booked their place at Hampden in the Scottish Cup semi-finals. Thanks to another fantastic strike from Sander Khartoum. Hearts 3, Dundee 1.
Every goal, every game, exclusively live.
Keskinen goes across to curl this one in near post, flicked on by Nisbet. Brilliant finish from Kevin Nisbet. The birthday boy gets a birthday goal at the near post. But still, Aberdeen come. There's the second goal. Ode the bang in the back post as Morris fired it right across the 6-yard box. And in the space of a couple of minutes, Aberdeen have got 2 goals. Palaversa, right hand side, out swinger, comes all the way out to Graham Shinney, who watches it, fires it, goal once it's in. Callum Ferry got a touch to it, but it's on to the post and in the back of the net. And on his 600th appearance in club football, Clarkson, who arrows it out to the far side, a great ball for Morris, who kills it with a good first touch and then tries to take on Mock and gets to the byline. As he's shut down, there's a goal for Ode to bag. That is wonderful from Shayden Morris. Here's Raymond with the free kick from the left hand side, just evades running, come back to run, and they have got a goal back. Queen's Park. Well, it would be a stretch to say they're back in the contest, but they are on the score sheet. It was Zach Rudden that just evaded him initially as it came in from the left hand side, but it came off another player back into his path, and he slammed it beyond Dimitar Mitov to make it Aberdeen 4, Queen's Park 1.
Football from Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland.
So we'll come to that game at Pittodrie in a moment or two. It was Hearts who were first through with the 3-1 win against Dundee. I've got to say, I thought it was a really entertaining game. We had it live for you on Friday night. Hearts eventually certainly deserving the victory with a really strong last half hour in particular, and a couple of magnificent goals, John Collins. The sort of goals you would have been proud of from Sander Khartoum to open up his account for Hearts.
Never saw it, but terrific result for Hearts. Doing well.
Give me the big build up there. Give me the big build up.
I wouldn't be watching Hearts. I've got better things to do.
John,
sorry,
the goals were magnificent. I got to say, the first strike was brilliant. Brilliant strike, top corner, and then of course playing with the outside of his foot almost, didn't he? He could have passed it for the goal. Brilliant goals.
And in terms of Hearts getting that victory, and also I know the run, Pat, hasn't been just quite as impressive perhaps as Hibernian's has, but he's starting to put together a very, very fine campaign, Neil Critchley, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and you know, again, another man that was under pressure, you could say. He had a decent start and then it sort of went pear-shaped, and he's been able to sort of keep calm and get them back playing, and you know, he's got players now starting to find a bit of form, and that's the key. An organised structure just take time. It doesn't happen overnight. That's the question. You've got to get used. A new manager coming in has got to get used to the atmosphere. He's got to get used to maybe the players. He's also get used to the league that they're playing in. So all of those things take a little bit of time. But he's I think he's done a good job recently, and they're in a good position. Again, confidence high at the moment.
Yeah, Dundee got themselves back into it, and actually Joe Shawkins with the goal, they very nearly got a second more. They had the big opportunity soon afterwards, but Hearts went on to dominate. I suppose for Dundee now it is all about it's all about trying to make sure, John, they stay in the top flight. 4 games to go before the split, 9 games all told. before the end of the campaign. They're just 3 points clear of bottom side St Johnstone, 3 behind Kilmarnock.
Yeah, they're on the bad run at the moment. They're conceding goals. I think that's the first issue. They've got to stop conceding. The confidence will be low, but I still think they maybe should have enough in the locker to stay away from that last position. However, I'm talking to St Johnstone. I've enjoyed watching them lately. I think their manager's doing a good job. He's got them actually playing good football for a team that's bottom of the league. They're playing with confidence, trying to build from the back. I've seen them against Hearts. Thought they did very well, but Dundee at this moment in time, they're the team that's sliding down the league, so they'll have to adjust that in the coming weeks, try and get a victory, get some confidence back.
So that was the Friday night. Yesterday lunchtime, Aberdeen going through, and I think, Pat, a lot of people probably had this one pegged as a potential upset given what Queen's Park had done in the previous round.
No, I didn't. I never thought it was going to be Aberdeen at home. I watched them against Celtic, and I thought they did reasonably well. They created chances, and I knew that they would create chances against Queen's Park. Yes, listen, it was a brilliant result for Queen's Park against Rangers, and kind of almost like a one-off. But yet that only comes every so often. To go up to Aberdeen and beat Aberdeen would be sensational, and I never thought it was going to happen. And Aberdeen's now. And have you noticed the Tannoy here has just gone up again here, Richard?
Yes, it's got quite loud again.
Yeah, we said, remember we was at the Aberdeen game, I think it was the same. Oh
ridiculous.
My word.
Yeah.
It's just coming down top of us. So sorry if you can't hear me properly, but no, listen, I always thought that Aberdeen was going to win this one, and they came out on top, and and they're in the semi-final, which is always great for the team like Aberdeen or Hearts. When you're in the semi-final, anything can happen to get to that final and then pick up silverware, because they're judged on silverware also. Maybe not the league, but certainly a cup run.
One of the big pluses now, I see on the BBC website they're saying, is Kevin Nisbet, is he back on form? Is he ready for a recall to the national team? Whether he's quite there or not, I guess, is up for debate, but he has at least John found that confidence again, it seems, for a large part of this season. He's just looked completely out of sorts, but his first goal last week against Dundee United was excellent, the way he opened it up and finished. He got the poacher's finish after that, and that on the assumption that you've seen it, that magnificent little flick yesterday to open the scoring, it just looked like a player who is now back to his best.
I think he's proved in the past he's a good finisher, and the question I've always had with him is his application, as in running and working his socks off for 90 minutes. Sometimes it looks like he's working, in other games I think he can give a little bit more to the team. So from Aberdeen's point of view, I think they've turned the corner a bit. What I've seen recently, I think they're playing some good football. I think their signings in the window there have made them better again. Looks like they're back much more like they were at the start of the season. So it's going to be an interesting fight for that third place between the Highbays, Aberdeen, Dundee United, and maybe Hearts if they keep doing as well as they are. Again, I never got a chance to speak about Neil Critchley, but I think he's done an excellent job. I like his interviews. I like the way he's trying to get Hearts to play football, the patient build-up, be calm. Not the Hearts of old, bombing it forward and looking a physical side. I think he's trying to build a Hearts team that wants to play football on the deck and from the back through midfield into the final third. So it's going to be interesting for the third place, but my money's on Hibs at the moment. Surprise, surprise.
Yes, it comes as absolutely no surprise. I wonder how they are going to fare this afternoon. Remember, Heart of Midlothian and Aberdeen both through. Tomorrow night it'll be Livingston and St Johnstone. We'll maybe get the chance to talk about that a little bit later in this programme, but it is for this afternoon. Celtic and Hibernian preparing to go head-to-head. We're, about 6 or 7 minutes away from full live commentary here on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland. It's also quarter-finals afternoon in the Scottish Women's Cup. Motherwell were first through with a 3-0 win away to Boroughmuir, and Aberdeen have just gone through. They trailed early to St Johnstone, but in the end a fairly comfortable 4-1 victory for Aberdeen women. Rangers and Spartans, perhaps surprisingly, 0-0 at half-time. The big one kicks off at 3 o'clock. It is Hearts against Glasgow City. So Motherwell and Aberdeen women both through And those two other ties yet to be concluded. We'll keep an eye on them across the course of the afternoon. Quite apart from Celtic's records generally against Hibernian, Pat, Brendan Rodgers also got this proud record to try to maintain. He's never lost a Scottish Cup tie. He's only actually picked up I think with the various comings and goings, he's won the Scottish Cup 3 times previously, because he didn't see out the season that they went on to win it in 18-19, and of course he picked up again after Ange Postecoglou won it the previous season. So I think it's a phenomenal record, and whether you're in charge of an all-conquering Celtic or not, the odd cup upset, the odd cup defeat generally comes along. It's something he's managed to avoid and will be very keen to maintain this afternoon.
Yeah, he's kind of blended, you know, the cup runs in with the league. Normally, sometimes you maybe kind of, I wouldn't say switch off slightly, or the opposition maybe get a free day at you, and they can take you by surprise and maybe knock you out of cup games. And in our day, you know, the league was the big thing, the Scottish Cup second and the League Cup, but he seems to be able to, over the piece, can all blend that up, and he keeps every game's important, and the performance is important, and that then gets the results, and he's got every player motivated that every game that they go out, they have to play and perform, and that sometimes it goes against you, but in general terms for him, everything's gone for him, and I think he's done a magnificent job coming back in to almost, you know, people doubted when he came back whether he would be able to sort of take over from Ange. I think he's probably done better than maybe most people thought by playing the way that he normally likes the team to play, but also taking a bit of what Ange had and bringing it into the team. You know, we talked already about the high intensity and all of that, and when you get those two things, when you're able to pass the ball and take, you know, risk in certain areas, but be able to take the risk without giving away too many goals, and then you work your way up the pitch, what intensity and quickness, I think then that's what the fans like, and I think he's done it very, very well. So when it comes to cup games, it's about the performance, and the performance in general terms would get you through in one games.
Just having a quick tally there, John. I think it's 265 games in charge of Celtic, and he's won 10 major trophies. It's not a bad average, that, is it?
The standard he's set, his first day set foot in the football club has been incredible. And every interview it's the same thing: intensity, standards. He puts demands on the players, and the players have answered every time they pull that jersey on in cup tournaments. They've picked up victories. He loves winning. Once you get that taste for winning, there's nothing better. Somebody's driving that into these players. And the new ones that come to the club, Engels, he'll be desperate to get his hands on his first trophy at Celtic. But again, he's just not just winning. He likes to win in style, Brendan. He always talks about entertaining as well. When Celtic score a goal, they want a second one, they want a third one, they go forward. So they're fun to watch, but they're winning.
Yeah, the other thing he has, he's got competition, I think. Yeah. You know, and players now know that if they're not performing, they may not get into the team, and they may have to sit on the bench and come off the bench. Most players want to play from the start, you know, if you're at Celtic, but he knows that he can change things around, and he changes it from game to game slightly too. The key at the back, he keeps Schmeichel. It's incredible. Schmeichel's played every single game. You know, I haven't seen the other goalkeeper really play, and that could be a worry going forward, where you know, you need somebody to get a bit of experience, and they haven't had it. But Schmeichel has come here, he wanted to play, but he's the permanent. Now it looks like the two centre halves are the permanent. Johnson's permanent, but he changes around. McGregor's permanent, you know, almost. You make him a rest the odd time, but the rest he just changes around and keeps them really on track, and they're the ones that plays with intensity.
And you're right, when you've got such a good bench, it puts pressure on the players that are starting the match. They know if they drop their standards, they're out of the team. And when you're out of the team and somebody takes your jersey, the quality they've got, you can be out of the team. But look at Ida. Kyogo went, he stepped in, scored a couple of goals against Villa. Thought I've made it, took his foot off the gas, all of a sudden he's out the team. and you're thinking, is he going to get back in front of Maeda? The answer's probably not at this moment in time. So that keeps all your key players on their toes. Nothing better than competition for places. Every team that wins championships, you do it with a squad. You don't do it with an 11. You do it with 15, 20 players. And Brendan's got that here. He's built up a good squad.
Yeah, he sure has. Look, David Gray talks about having zero regrets. That's what he wanted his players to feel when they left the park. It is going to be a challenge for Hibernian. You can watch the highlights tonight on Sports Scene BBC Scotland channel at 7:15. They'll have the best of the action too, I'm sure, from the two ties that have already taken place at Tynecastle and Pittodrie. Plenty to look forward to in the week ahead. First and foremost, live commentary tomorrow night. Join us for the game at Ammanvale between Livingston and St Johnstone, live on the radio, live on BBC Scotland TV as well. A little bit later I'll run you through what else we have in store in the coming week. It all kicks off with the third of the Scottish Cup quarter-finals, live from Celtic Park. It is Celtic against Hibernian. The team on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland with John Collins, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
Glasgow bathing in sunshine here, which is covering the entirety of the North Stand over on the far side, as these two go head to head in the Scottish Cup for the 26th time. Celtic have won 15 to Hibernian's 3. It's the 6th time they've met at Parkhead in the Scottish Cup, with Hibs yet to win here in this competition. Celtic winning twice, the other 3 drawn. It includes 2 semi-finals, and the second of that being a second replay which Celtic won before going on to win the Cup. The last time Hibs beat Celtic in this tournament was at this stage in 1986, and they beat them 4-3 at Easter Road. It was a game that sealed Gordon Jury's big move to Chelsea 10 years before he scored a hat-trick in the final for Rangers against Hearts. Hibs had beaten Celtic in the League Cup in Leith earlier that season too. Coach Eddie May played and scored for Hibs, with Cowan hitting a double, Chisholm got the other, McClare's braced and one from McGee for Celtic, but Hibs have not beaten them since then in the Scottish Cup. And it will be the visitors who are going to kick this one off. The noise from the PA here is extraordinary as it eventually shuts down ahead of kick-off, and referee Nick Walsh, who took charge of last season's final, gets the game underway. Hibs shooting from right to left in their green and purple change colours. Celtic in the green and white hoops, as you would expect here, and Hibs looking to repeat what they did 15 days ago by inflicting a second domestic defeat on Celtic this season. Could it be a third? It's popped through to Boyle, right hand side of the box at the byline. He chips it back across. Michael offside. Holds on the 6-yard line, but as you can hear from Packy in the background, offside flag.
Oh, and what a pass. It's just going to play. A beautiful pass. Volley on side volley from Schmeichel there out to Kuhn, just overhit it slightly, but it was beautiful technique.
It would be more beautiful if Kuhn got onto it, to be fair.
Absolutely.
It's out for a Hibs throw in on this near side, which last week's Derby hero Jack Iredale will take. As he takes about level with the edge of the D on this left-hand side, bowling it forward. Bowie will chase. Carter Vickers is there, and he goes back to Kasper Schmeichel, who plays it short along his 6-yard line for Trusty. Will then knock it out to Jeffrey Schlupp over on that far side.
See,
John Collins.
Well, that's the difference with Kasper Schmeichel. Most goalkeepers in Scotland have got that pass back from the centre half. Because he was under pressure, he had launched it. What does he do? Looks up and pops it across the left back. That's the difference. That's what I call class.
Perfect day for tie the round, you'd have to say. It's pretty benign conditions. Flags on the top of the North Stand, the corner flags all limp at the moment. The sun is shining, and it's Celtic on the ball with Carter Vickers out to Johnston on this near side. Up the line it goes to Kuhn, who'll have a little go at Nicky Cadden here. It's the overlap from Johnston's always an option for Celtic, it seems. Johnston unable to get it into his stride. The challenge from Iredale, and out for a Celtic throw-in. Celtic shooting east towards the Lisbon line stand end as Kuhn plays it in. It's a wonderful ball, but Maeda couldn't quite get a toe onto it, and it comes right through to Jordan Smith. That is exactly the kind of ball Daisen Maeda wants to receive throughout this afternoon. 2-0.
Yeah, and it was a difficult ball for him to take, actually, because it's sort of almost going away from him, but he still made the effort. He still had the thought in his brain to get across that front post.
Boyle chasing, but Crusty will get there first at the edge of his own box, and then he rolls it out to Jeffrey Schlupp, who got to the score sheet in their last game, which was 8 days ago in Paisley. John, you're wanting back in?
Yeah, first thing I've noticed, Hibs are playing a very high line, very dangerous. If you don't get pressure on the ball, that's so dangerous. With Celtic's pace at the top of the pitch, one angle pass through a penetrating run, and they're in on goal.
Kuhn has it on the right hand side, level with the edge of the D. Now he's level with the penalty spot, jinking inside now at the angle of the box, finds Hatate, squares it to Schlupp, he's going to shoot, it's blocked by Miller. Good block by the Aussie as Celtic look to come again. Schlupp controlling, he's in a central area, he's had it nicked off him. The referee, I think, is going to give him the free kick here. It's about midway inside Hibs territory.
Yeah, he gets himself into that area quite often, Schlupp. Just inside the corner of the 18-yard box between the circle and that little bit of space opens up for him, and that's when the ball's on the opposite side of the pitch. He just finds himself in there, and that was a chance for him to pull the trigger.
It's the overhang from the Postecoglou era, isn't it? The Celtic fullbacks all inverted these days as Kuhn picks up over on the right now. Then he chops onto the left. Roll low ball to McGregor, who shoots. That's a brilliant save by Smith. Down low to his left. That was making for the bottom right corner. And Celtic are going to get a corner off the back of that. It's outstanding goalkeeping, John.
I mean, first of all, it's a tremendous strike from Carl McGregor. One touch to control it. Second touch, pulls the trigger. Outstanding save. Bottom right-hand corner, he's got down well packed.
Oh, my word. I'll tell you, that, go back to what Richard asked me just before the start of this game, that he's taken a notch up for me in that with that save. Brilliant.
Kuhn will take the corner, left-footed into the near post. Smith has to react, and he punches away with both fists. Comes back out to Kuhn on this near side. Low ball back to the captain, McGregor, who squares it to Schlupp. He's going to get it back immediately. Hibs being roared on by 7,000 visiting supporters off to our right behind the Hibs goal. And it's Kuhn jinking into the box again here. Rolls it back again to the edge of the area. This time it's to Hatate. He's about 25 yards from goal. Turns the other way and finds Carter Vickers, who rolls it out to Johnston. Hibs trying to weather the early storm here. Kuhn with the flick. Hatate with the cross. It's too high for Maida. It comes all the way through to Jota. Nicked away from him by Chris Cadden. Schlupp picks up the scraps over on the left-hand side of the box, pulls it across, and Celtic have another corner.
Really fast start from Celtic in this game. That's been 2-3 chances now they've created. Block, shot, the goalkeeper, big save. That time again, getting down into a great position to get a ball across the box and giving away the corner. Hibs, but Hibs under pressure. They've got to try to get through this little period.
Arne Engels will take this time in swinger with the right foot in front of that safe standing section on the Celtic left as they attack the goal to the right. Bent in by Engels. Smith claims brilliantly, and what a relief it always is for the defending team when the goalkeeper makes such a clean interception as that. It stays nothing each year.
Yeah, just on that, he's not the biggest, is he? I'm looking at him. He's not a 6'5" goalkeeper we've become accustomed to in the modern game. Yeah, which isn't big. But what he actually has done there brilliantly is they get above everybody and clutch that ball and take the pressure right off his defence. Good goalkeeping again. Well,
from a goalkeeper's point of view, exactly what we want. A nice early save and a nice cross.
There's a brilliant ball through for Maida. He just got himself goal side of Iredale and Bushiri, who react well. Win it back for the visitors. Played out to Miller on the far side. Sells Maida the dummy. Cuts in field. Rolls it into his own box for Bushiri. Decides to pirouette away from Maida. He's a player reborn. Rocky Bushiri's having a fabulous time of it just now, to the point last week the Hibs fans were in unison singing his name, which would have been unimaginable just a few months ago. Bowie wins Hibs a free kick right of the centre circle just inside his own half.
What you've seen from Rocky Bushiri, you wouldn't have seen 2 months ago. You've seen a player playing with a lot of confidence. Won it there at the back inside his 6-yard box, and he's clipped it up to the striker's chest. Hasn't just launched it up, he's played a nice weighted pass.
Bushiri on the ball here, flashes it out to Iredale on this near side, and he plays a chip ball down the line looking to try and get Campbell involved, but he's been ransacked there on the near side. Josh Campbell, who got both goals in Hibs victory at Easter Road over Celtic a couple of weeks ago. Jota has it, over on the far side, midway inside the Hibs half. Back to Sloop, infield to Hatate. Kuhn wants it on the near side. It's an easier ball for Hatate to Johnston in the inside channel there, and Johnston gets it to Kuhn eventually. He's level with the 18-yard line, left-footed chip ball, shot that's in the back post, hits it down off Chris Cadden, and Celtic have another corner.
Yeah, he's creating problems, Kuhn. He's picking up the ball, he's cutting on the inside. Everything so far has been on the inside. He's got the overlaps coming from Johnston, but he hasn't taken that option, and he's playing little balls either square or to the back post. That was a lovely chip pass, and Jota getting in round the back. So that's another half opportunity, you got to say, for Celtic.
Engels will take this corner from the Celtic left again. It's a hugely congested 6-yard area. There's double-figure players all in there right now. Engels trying to put it into that area, and it comes again, and it's off the line there by Triantis. Went over Smith, breaks back to Hatate, shoots wildly on the volley over the bar, and it will stay Celtic nil, Hibs nil, almost on 8 minutes.
Right, Hibs now have to try and get some possession of the ball, try and calm it down. Back three's got to split, take it, be brave. We talk about bravery in football, it's so important. Bravery is not about flying into tackles. Bravery is taking the ball when you're under pressure, making an angle for your teammate.
Goal kick here. There was a brief penalty check there for a possible handball, but it's come off the shoulder, so that's okay. I'm not sure whose shoulder it was, as Jordan Smith clears with the left foot high out to the right hand side, looking to get onto the head of Miller, which he does. Miller's done brilliantly, and then Bowie sweeps it forward, but the ball kind of had his back to goal there when he did so, where he couldn't find Boyle, too much on it, and Celtic have it with Schmeichel out to Johnston, and a side foot ball infield to McGregor. To add to his massive medal haul is Callum McGregor. He's never lost a cup final, be it at junior or senior level, or youth or senior level rather. He's got his hands on this trophy again last season, as Jota picks up on the far side, midway inside the Hibs half. Just poking it to Johnston, who will look for Kuhn down this right flank. He's onto it now, is the German. Goes back to Johnston, who goes back to Cameron Carter-Vickers. It was the 27th of January 2010 when Danny Galbraith scored a late winner for Hibs. Fortuny and Stokes had traded goals. Stokes was in Hibs colours at the time. Since then, in his 19 visits to Celtic Park without a win for Hibs, 4 draws, 16 defeats, as Johnston knocks it through for Kuhn, right hand side of the box. It's away from Nicky Cadden, flicks it with the outside of the left, and holds on. Stays 0-0.
It was a great run, good pass, but I'll tell you again, good goalkeeping. Stepped off his near post to just deal with that sort of ball. I know it wasn't the pace wasn't on the cross, but his positioning was really good from the goalkeeper. Been impressed so far, I've got to say. All the things he's been asked to do, he's done very well.
Celtic have started the game so well. There's a sharpness about their passing. Everything's crisp. And there's Hibs goalkeeper's got the ball, and Maeda pressing him. Unbelievable pressing. And what does the goalkeeper do? He kicks it straight out of the park. Celtic back in possession.
Hibs cursing the luck of the draw that sent them here in both cup competitions this season. Also here in the League Cup, as Kuhn picks up right hand side of the Hibs box, rolls it back to Johnston. Then along the deck to McGregor behind him, now with Sloop. Left central area for Hatate. Looking up at the Hibs penalty area, he's gone for goal, blocked by Bushiri. And we'll pop out here to Iredale, who try and feed Campbell. Too much on the pass, still comes out for a Celtic throw-in on the near side. The use of the ball from Hibernian is going to have to be better than that if they're going to get themselves into the draw for the semis by the close of business here. It's back with Carter-Vickers on the halfway line. And the ball forward to Hatate, who finds Engels, who's overhit that pass for Trusty, and it was out for a Hibs throw-in, this time over on the far side. Chris Cadden already on side to take.
I'm just wondering how Nicky Cadden deals with Kuhn. Do you show him on the inside? Do you show him down the outside? You're almost left with a 2v1 situation if Johnson keeps making those runs, whether outside or inside, and it's very, very difficult for him today. As a wing back, he's got no real help.
It's so difficult. He's got 2 players every time Johnson gives him the ball. Kuhn flies round the outside. It's 2v1 near enough every time.
Jordan Smith has it in his own box. Ding ball out to this left-hand side. Campbell's the target. Johnston wins the header, though. Trying to pick it up is Nectarios Triantis, who shifts it in field to the left angle of his own box for Iredale, who fires it forward into the Celtic half. Bowie beaten there by Carter Vickers. Really good, strong defending. The Hibs fans and indeed their manager felt that was a foul by the Celtic centre-back. It's the holders who come forward with Engels to the right-hand side of the box for Kuhn. Johnston in his usual position on the underlap, but Kuhn uses it in the decoy and finds Hatate. Clips it out to Jota. Left-hand side of the box, taking on Chris Cadden. Gets the cross in, flicked away by Nicky Cadden. Mariah Wells trying to get onto it, but Schlupp gets between he and the ball and wins it back. And back up the line for Hatate. Really has been an impressive signing, Jeffrey Schlupp, for Celtic.
Yeah, he's fitting in really well. He's also a strong defender. And he's shown an example of that there, winning the ball back. Listen, Greg Taylor, I had a lot of time for Greg. He didn't do much wrong and that, but I think Schlupp has just been a bit more consistent, I think, from the defensive perspective.
Jota, he's got his cross in, looking for Maidan, headed behind by Iredale. Celtic have their latest corner kick. It's going to be interesting if they want to keep Schlupp, because of course there's the impending return of Kieran Tierney to this club, so you would imagine he would sew up the left back position, but given his injury problem, Schlupp would be a great teammate of his, I would have thought.
I think he'd certainly be a good backup for Kieran Tierney, wouldn't he? But the question is, would he want to become and be a backup? I doubt it. 32 years of age, if we're looking to play. It's been total domination from Celtic, the kick-off.
Yeah. Engels with the latest corner. It's a low one. He was looking for Kuhn on the penalty spot, but it's battered away there by Nicky Cadden, and out for a Celtic throw in round about the halfway line.
Yeah, Celtic just from those corners, they're almost crowding the 6-yard box. Absolutely, they've got about 5 or 6 players, and that's taking all the Hibs defenders back in on top of the goalkeeper, and the space is then further out towards the penalty spot. And that time Engels trying to pick out maybe Kuhn.
Offside,
Jota is offside. Yeah, Celtic bossing this to the tune of 77% possession at the moment, still in the relative infancy of the match, almost 14 in, 0-0.
That's normal here at Celtic Park. They usually dominate possession.
Yeah,
it's always a challenge for the opponents. Can they get a hold of the ball? Now they're tired because they've been chased it for 10 minutes, but the only way you try and get a rest here at Celtic Park is with the ball. Use your goalkeeper, use your back three.
I think it was the Dundee United game here recently. They were on 90% possession for a decent period of time from kick-off through the first half.
Yeah, they haven't allowed the Hibs to really get any possession and work their way up the pitch too often, and that's been difficult for Hibs because they have to be defending and, as John says, concentrating all the time. But Celtic have not just kept possession for the sake of it, there's also an end product for most of the time.
Hearts and Aberdeen already through to tomorrow night's semi-final draw, which will be made in the wake of that Livingston-St Johnstone game, which is live here on BBC Radio Scotland with Sports Sounds also on the telly on Sports Scene at 7:45. Kick-off tomorrow, on air at 7:30. Sports Sound on the air just after 7. It's Engels for Celtic, who's back onto the halfway line for Johnston. Side foots it back into his own half, edge of the centre circle with Trusty, who finds Schlupp, who finds McGregor, and back to Jeffrey Schlupp on the far side. 15 in, 0-0. Celtic on the ball with Jota, the north stand side, back up the line for Hatate. There's likewise for Schlupp, trying to hold off big Kieran Bowie. He's back to Trusty, who plays it to the right of the centre circle for Carter Vickers, and then to Trusty. And that left-hand side, it's with Schlupp again, looking to put it through for Maida, but Bushiri holds him off, and it comes right through to Jordan Smith. The positive right now for David Gray and for the hordes of Hibs fans off to our right is that the scores are still blank.
It is, but I know what the manager will be standing there thinking he wants his players to get a little bit more of the ball, be brave, make angles to receive it. Don't just kick it long. That's the danger when you've got a 6'4" striker. Is the temptation is to go long too often, too soon, instead of keeping it. And it's just wave after wave of attack. They're giving the ball back to Celtic.
Couldn't keep that in play down below us. That will be a throw into Hibs. It'll just take a little bit of an edge off it for a little bit for the visitors, who've been under the cosh since the opening minute of the match. Really, they'd won 40 forward in the opening seconds from kick-off, and since then it's been a rearguard action. That's what you would expect when you come here. It's a Hibs team unbeaten in 15 though. You would imagine they'll have their moments. Remember Mikola Kukarevich missed 2, maybe even 3 superb opportunities the last time Hibs were here, and it was their last defeat. But here's Kuhn looking to put it through for Maidai, goes down. I don't think there's any question that's a foul. Looked like he just ran into the back of Bushiri. Is it the edge of the box?
Yeah, I think it was half-decent defending, I've got to say. One way to stop Maeda is block off the path of his run, and he did that reasonably well there. I think he's...
It's a ball through for Bowie, left-hand side of the box, he's in, and he forces a brilliant save from Schmeichel. Bowie again, low ball across is cut out, blocked by Engels, and behind for a Hibs corner. And this is, Celtic fans are upset because they think they should have had a free kick at the edge of the Hibs box. Packy doesn't think it was a free kick. I certainly didn't think it was a free kick. What did you reckon?
I didn't think it was a free kick either, to be honest. But in fairness, Maeda did claim for it. He's very claims for something. He's a very honest player. But that was an excellent play from Hibs. Just a quick throw in. Bowie through and goal, strikes it. It's in the corner. It's a great save.
It was one that you would expect him to save. It's kind of almost hit at him, but still it was a brilliant chance. He just probably should have maybe tried to hit it across the goalkeeper rather than take him on at his near post.
It's a Boyle corner, short to Nicky Cadden, who fires it in. It breaks to the penalty spot. Miller trying to get onto it, but there's the charging, rampaging Maida picking it up, playing it forward quickly for Jota, who's driving forward. He's onto it. Right hand side of the Hibs box now, and it's well defended by Nicky Cadden. He's been outstanding over the course of these last 3 months. He was involved in the attack there from the corner. Great backtracking, and it's no mean feat when you've got Maida and Jota rampaging forward at pace like that. Celtic nil, Hibs nil on 18.
Tremendous defending for Nicky Cadden. He's put a cross in at the top of the pitch. Next minute he's sprinted back 70 yards to take the ball off Jota. Tremendous work for his teammates.
Yeah, Jota didn't quite have the legs had he taken away from them. But he if it was Kuhn on the other hand, might have been a slightly different story. But how quick was Maeda also to react to the edge of the box and won that ball to hit Hibs on the counter-attack.
Brendan Rodgers just making his way to the edge of the technical area down below us. He hasn't lost a home cup tie domestically as Celtic manager. Just that one defeat all told in cup competition. He rampaged all his way through the cup competitions during his first spell at the club.
So I'm looking at Rocky Bushiri, and his body language to me is he doesn't really want the ball.
Right, well, Jordan Smith's allowing him to take the goal kick here, and he's just played it short to the goalkeeper. He'll then presumably fire it out to this near side, and he does, but it went straight to Johnston, but it's come through him, and Kieran Bowie's managed to force it forward. Boyle will chase, but Schmeichel comes to the edge of his box to claim, and he plays it short with his foot there to Carter Vickers, who finds McGregor. McGregor then left to the centre circle for Schlupp. And infield for Callum McGregor. And to Johnston on this near side. Callum McGregor looking to add to the 23 honours that he has won as a Celtic player over the course of his 10.5 years in the first team here. Of course, John worked at the club with Ronnie Dyler when he made his breakthrough all those years ago.
Yeah, he's a joy to watch from the very first day he pulled on a Celtic jersey. I could tell he was top quality football player, on and off the pitch, brilliant attitude, and he's just stepped into the captaincy role seamlessly.
Kuhn to Johnston, who wins the throw-in off Iredale on this near side. A wonderful goal Jack Iredale scored last week to settle the derby in the capital. Johnston prepares to take the throw-in to Engels, gets it back immediately. A little heavy touch there, and it's actually come through to McGregor. McGregor to Schlupp, left of the D. His efforts blocked there brilliantly by Mariah Welsh, who slides in. And out it goes for a Celtic throw-in in front of the north stand, midway inside Hibs territory on the far side.
Yeah, Mariah Welch, he actually did Trent as a bit of a favour there, because I think he missed the first tackle. And
yeah, it's Schlupp over on the far side for Celtic, down the line for Jota. And now McGregor, he's had it pinched off him by Mariah Welch. He's going to have to do a lot of that today, the Hibs midfielder, but he's won the free kick for his team over on the far side touchline. It's to the right of his own penalty area. There's clearly an incentive for Hibs to get into a cup semi-final today. And if they don't lose this one, it will be their longest unbeaten run as a top-flight club since 1947. That puts it in perspective, does it not?
It's an incredible turnaround. All credit to manager, his staff and the players. That is superb. 15 games.
Yeah, 15 right now. Make that 16. That's how long ago it was when, as a top flight team across all competition, that they've managed to achieve that sort of unbeaten streak. It's out for a throw into Hibs over on the far side. They're in the Celtic half here, almost at the midway point of it. Miller is over the throw in the sunshine over there. There's some wonderful results across these last few months, beating Celtic right at the top there, along with 2 derby successes. Beat to Pittodrie in one, beat to Tannadice in one. Lewis Miller with an enormous throw into the box, which is headed half away. Triantis looks to knock it forward. Hatate blocks it. Now it's with Mania Welsh. Hibs trying to settle here, and it's with Bowie at the right angle of the area. It's well defended by a combination of Sloop and Jota, and Jota's coming away with it, looking for Kuhn. Kuhn might get onto this. Clearly come off the hand of Iredale, and the roar from the Celtic fans as the yellow card's been shown to Jack Iredale, and he's going to speak to Nick Walsh. Clearly think that was a deliberate handball there. I think it was a bit harsh, was it?
I think it definitely hit his hand, but I think his hand was in a natural position at his side.
Yeah, I think it was too, and I think he doesn't deserve the yellow card. Maybe a free kick, but because he was last man and Kuhn was trying to knock it past him to get into a position, I think the anticipation from the referee was that he stopped it with his hand.
So Iredale goes into the book as Carter Vickers plays it short to McGregor. It's now with Johnston. Johnston feeding it for Kuhn, right hand side of the penalty area. He's at the byline as Cross takes a little deflection. It breaks to Hatate, it's in the volley, it's blocked. There, Engels with the back heel looking for Hatate, blocked again. Offside flag goes up anyway. And it stays Celtic 0, Hibs 0 here in the Scottish Cup quarters.
One thing we've got to give Hibs credit for is that they're getting the blocks in, they're putting their bodies on the line, defending well without the ball. The question is now, can they get a hold of the ball?
The Celtic have been fantastic in this opening period. Movement, passing, intensity, creating chances.
Everything except a goal.
Yeah.
Celtic don't have anyone in this category, but Hibs have got 2 players on yellow cards already in the tournament. Iredale isn't one of them. It's Nicky Cadden and Triantis, who if booked today would miss the semi should they get there. Long ball, Jordan Smith from the just outside his box is headed back into the Hibs half. Bushiri's onto it and he goes back to his keeper. Maida chasing him down. You don't have long, and Smith manages to bundle it away under pressure from the Japan striker as Boyle plays it down the left hand side. Nicky Cadden was the target, or Bowie, but Carter Vickers is onto it and he plays it short to McGregor. Beyond the first quarter mark here, in fact we're well through the 25th minute. It remains goalless. It's with Jota on the far side under pressure from Chris Cadden. He knocks it back to Trusty, who squares it to Carter Vickers. He's back to Trusty. Boyle trying to get onto it. We're talking about the pace and tenacity of Dyson Maida. Martin Boyle's still got plenty of that in the locker, as was exemplified by the opening goal in the derby last Sunday. And it's Engels getting it from Johnston now with McGregor at the edge of his own box. Plays it to the left for Trusty. Trusty at walking pace. Knocks it infield for McGregor, who squares it to Carter Vickers. Out to Kuhn on the right-hand touchline. Johnston will try and get onto it. The ball comes towards him. Iredale does enough. I think he thinks Johnston's offside there. It was out for a throw-in. Celtic take quickly Johnston to Kuhn. Nicolas Kuhn just squaring it there to Sloop, and now with Hatate to the left-hand side of the box. It has worked to Jota at the angle. Jota back there for McGregor. Hatate to the left if he wants him. That's where it goes. Rio Hatate level with the edge of the D of the Hibs box, trying to switch it to Johnston. It's overhit though, and behind the Canadian, and out for a Hibs throw-in on this near side. Celtic 0, Hibs 0. Some of the early match panache is gone from the Celtic performance in the last 5-10 minutes, and it'll give Hibs so much optimism, and they forced an opportunity, forced a save from Schmeichel as well. They can very much push for a place in the semi-finals today.
Yeah, I think you've got to get through that first period, that 20-minute period. If you get through that, you might be under the cosh, but you've got to defend and defend well. And they've done that. They've got blocks in. They haven't had too much of the ball. Had one chance. but certainly they've got through it, and that'll give them the confidence. But Celtic still very, very good playing the ball with pace. Might have the odd pass.
Johnston looking for Kuhn. He's not going to find him. Jordan Smith comes to the edge of his box and skips over it and lets it trundle behind to the goal kick. It is a huge task, this, for Hibs. Celtic haven't lost a home Scottish Cup tie since Aberdeen beat them in the 5th round in February 2014. Since then they've played 17 Scottish Cup ties here and won them all. And actually they've only lost twice since that infamous night against Cally Thistle here in 2000. Both those were against Aberdeen. The other was a replay in 2008. So they got a really good, strong home record anyway, but in the Scottish Cup perhaps in particular. And obviously haven't lost domestically here since Hearts beat them a year past December. As Campbell tries to get onto it, and he's tripped Alistair Johnston. That will be a free kick and a yellow card for Josh Campbell as well. Celtic fans don't like it when their players get fouled.
It's a correct decision. Johnston was just too sharp for him. There was no malice in the tackle, but it was a booking.
Free kick Celtic, just about 6 yards away from this near side touchline. Engels takes the free kick, goes back to Carter Vickers on the halfway line, to his left for Trusty, and then out to Jota on the left flank, midway inside the Hibs half. Dinks to the left hand side of the penalty area for Hatate, heads it back out left hand side for Sloop. He's got his cross in, Kuhn's at the back post. It's flicked away by Nicky Cadden though, with the danger right behind him. Campbell makes the challenge on Johnston. It will be a goal kick, despite Johnston wanting the corner, albeit he's not complaining too much that didn't happen. And it stays Celtic 0, Hibs 0 on 28 minutes.
Again, I'm giving Nicky Cadden the last few weeks all the credit for his delivery into the opposition's box. Here today, always good work's been done defensively. At back post, he's got his little header on it. Such an important header, because if he never got it, back post, Johnston was coming in, or was it Kuhn?
Kuhn. It was Kuhn coming in the back post.
Yeah.
He got a good position.
On ball from Smith, but that's going to go straight into touch over on the far side for a Celtic throw-in. No goals as yet in this, the third of this season's Scottish Cup quarter-final. Sports Sound live here on BBC Radio Scotland, across the frequencies on 810 medium wave, on Extra, on FM, on Sounds at bbc.co.uk/Sports Scotland. 0-0. It is Sloop infield to Hatate on the halfway line, firing it through for Jota. He's all the way through to Smith, but Packy once again, he likes an early offside shout.
I always like to see the assistant, but they don't do it anymore, do they? To get the flag up early. When you're a goalkeeper and you're working with a back four or a back five, you certainly want your assistant to be tuned in, or the referee tuned in.
Yeah, but if you scored a goal from it, that kind of situation, and it's ruled out for offside, but it's later proved that it's not offside, then you're probably more angry about that.
Yeah, but I was a defender. John was an attacking type player, not really.
You were that. And one of huge repute as well, Packy, as Celtic pick up with Trusty midway inside his own half, square to Carter Vickers.
John had referenced how high the Hibs back five is when Celtic have the ball, especially their centre halves, and they're just killing that space that Celtic like to play between the lines. Now it is a risk, but they're certainly doing very well.
Arnott Engels looking to find Maida. It's too close to the keeper again. That ball's not quite paying off for Celtic yet. A little bit of frustration in the face of Rodgers down there.
But that is the pass that will break the Hibs defence. That little angle pass in behind them. They've just overhit 3 or 4.
That's broken better defences than Hibs defence this season, hasn't it? That's the bottom line. Even the last few years, really, when they play with that early ball and the pace they have, they can hurt you, and that's what they're attempting. But Hibs have got themselves a free kick here, right at the centre circle, in the Celtic half.
Yeah, just on that point, when the centre half's got the ball, you've got about 40 yards to read the pass. That's the difference. But when you open up the lines and you play between the lines, it's that little 10-15 yard penetrating pass, and that's what kills you. You've no time to react.
Nicky Cadden over the free kick, and even from this far out, he's capable of putting this on the head of somebody as it comes all the way through. Schmeichel will gather. Lewis Miller was in behind him. There's plenty of pace on that as well, and it was probably the right trajectory on the ball too.
Just a little bit too close to the goalkeeper on that occasion.
Here's Kuhn getting it from Johnston on the near side, midway inside the Hibs half. It comes off Triantis and out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. Johnston bowling it back to Carter Vickers. Squares it to Trusty. Short ball to Schloop. Infield to Hatate. Back to Trusty.
I'm going to say the last 15 minutes, Hibs have contained them well. Celtic, in the last 15, haven't been really cutting them open or creating any chances.
It's an intriguing cup tie right now as Carter Vickers finds Engels. Two pretty convincing wins for the two sides already in tomorrow's draw for the semi-finals. Hearts beaten Dundee 3-1 on Friday night before yesterday's game at Pittodrie as Aberdeen eased past Championship Queen's Park 4-1. Hibs get themselves a goal kick here, but on 32 minutes now. Still goalless. Both managers down there watching on. David Gray, hands in pockets. Now he's whistling at his players, trying to get their attention. He's joined by Craig Sampson, technical area, goalkeeper coach. It's interesting, he's always involved, Craig Sampson, with, he's the same at Aberdeen actually in his time there, working under Jim Goodwin, Barry Robson.
Yeah, but a goalkeeper coach is not just a goalkeeper coach anymore. He's a coach, but what maybe the responsibility of working with the back four and getting the goalkeeper into positions where they can actually defend.
Ball down the line by Johnston. Nicky Cadden gets there ahead of Kuhn. It's not a great ball back for Jordan Smith. He's done well to control on the byline. Plays it forward to Iredale. Maida was in behind him. He comes off Iredale and out for a Celtic throw in. Nicky Cadden's down. Still sporting that face mask.
He's holding his hamstring, it looks like. Not looking good.
Oh, this would be a hammer blow for Hibs.
He's just stretched there to knock the ball back to his goalkeeper Jordan Smith, and just looked as if maybe he's tweaked something, which you're right, it would be a huge blow.
He's done.
He's done.
The sign for the sub to be made.
It's a shame. One player Hibs don't want to see leaving the football pitch is him. He's been outstanding in recent months.
Because this, I mean, obviously there's still just about an hour of this cup tie to play, maybe extra time and penalties to come, but this might be about the weeks to come as well for Nicky Cadden. I mean, hamstrings tend to be 6 weeks?
Well,
if it's a bad one.
He's up on his feet.
There was also a discussion, was there? I listened to Tom Carrigan talking today about maybe who could go into the Scottish team, and Nicky Cadden was one that they were almost highlighted. Right? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Whether that is.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've watched him the last few weeks. There is no better player in Scotland in the wider area than him in the last 2 months. His delivery is as good as any player I've seen.
You can hear in the background Jordan Abita coming on. Nicky Cadden has to come off. He gets a slap in the back from his manager. At least he's able to walk off. He's not needing any help. So he's walking on his own up over to the dugout, and it looks as though he's just going to sit there. Do you stick an ice pack on that? Or?
Yeah, straight away. Ice will be on it straight away.
And Johnston's bowled it back to Hibs, which is very sporting. I don't think the Celtic supporters in the main stand around about us were too happy with Johnston's decision there.
That was the right thing to do.
I think their point was it didn't look like Jack Iredale. It was Jack Iredale with a really poor ball, I think, out to this, or bad control, and then when he saw it going out, he made it look as though he was pointing at the guy who was down, as if he was putting it out of play. Johnston bought it. Anyway, it's Abita's just on, heading it down the left-hand side, and Carter Vickers clears. But there's no question, with 10 minutes of the first half remaining, or at least the 45 with the scoreline at 0-0, that Hibs' hopes of winning this cup quarter-final have deteriorated with Nicky Cadden not being with them now.
Yeah, but listen, I think that, I don't know about you, John, but I think they'll be very happy with the way the game's panned out at the moment, because initially Celtic were really rampant, and now it's sort of settled into a different type of game, and it takes you up at a time almost to get your breather and get into the pace of the game, and now Hibs look as if they're right in it.
Thrown for Hibs on the near side. One thing Abita gives you is a bit of height. It's more so than Nicky Cadden. Jack Iredale's going to launch a long throw into the Celtic box here. He's about level with the edge of the D of it, and it comes. Bashiri wins the header, flicks it goalwards, but it's going to bounce harmlessly past the left-hand post, and Schmeichel will take a goal kick. 0-0 at Celtic Park.
The Celtic tempo's dropped, I would say, the last 15 minutes. They could never sustain how they came out the first 15. But Hibs got a hanging Celtic system. more comfortable. Here we go.
Hatate looking for Maida. Great control. Maida's in. He's put it over the bar. He's put it over the bar. Bushiri was right behind him. What a chance, the first time that Maida has looked into the eyes of Jordan Smith. He puts it over.
It was a great ball initially into Hatate, and then he plays that ball beyond. I think Bushiri got back and just leant into him a little bit.
Just put him off there, yeah.
As he was striking the ball. So that was Celtic's best chance, you've got to say. Maybe the shot from McGregor was a great strike, but that was the best chance for that ball in behind.
The first time today we've had the perfect penetrating pass with the penetrating run. It was perfect. His first touch was terrific, Maeda, but his finish was disappointing. He leaned back.
But it's that ball played into Hatate in between the lines, and that allows then Maeda to make his run. And it's a short, it doesn't have to be a long pass, it's short in between the defenders, and he's in.
It'll be disappointing not to hit the target. You've got to be hitting the target from there.
Yeah.
Trusty has it, plays it to the left, just inside the Hibs half for Hatate. Rolls it back there along the grass to Trusty, who squares it to Carter Vickers, who goes back to Trusty. Big American there finds Hatate. Looking for an option ahead of him. There isn't really one there, so he goes to Carter Vickers again, who finds Johnston in field for Hatate. And back to Carter Vickers. Square there to Trusty again. Down the left-hand side of the centre circle he goes. The left for Schlupp. Down the left flank again. Left-hand side of the box, it's Jota. Low ball in, cleared by Miller.
Oh, listen, I think he was going to try to pick up Kuhn there, who was free at the back post, but he didn't make good contact with the ball, and it was easily cut out. It was a good run.
Trusty has it, pushes it forward to Johnston, then back to Trusty. Over to the left touchline for Hatate. It's a chip ball into the box, which is headed away by Lewis Miller again. Now Hatate, level with the 18-yard line, finds the underlapping Schlupp, who pulls it back. Kuhn's there! Another brilliant save, but Maida smashes it into the roof of the net on the rebound. And the holders have the lead. And of course, it's Daizen Maida, probable player of the year. Smashes Celtic in front. There was nothing Smith could do about the follow-up after a brilliant save from Kuhn, and it is Celtic 1, Hibernian 0.
I just wonder, was he offside on the first run? And will be checked. There might be a slight, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It was a great ball across, great pick out, and then what a save from the goalkeeper. He was so unlucky. But Maeda.
Goal stands, by the way, check complete, so it's all good for Celtic.
But what a reaction from Maeda again. Quicker than anybody else in that 6-yard box.
That just sums up his whole season. He's electric, off the mark, hungry, in and around the 6-yard box. I feel sorry for the goalkeeper, it was a great save.
Maida was there to knock home his 27th goal of the season. What a tally that is. He's also got one for Japan this season too, and 9 assists for Celtic on top of that. It's been a glorious season for him, and he's hoping it's a treble winning season, and it's odds on that's what's going to happen. Hibs will want to have a say, clearly, for the remainder of this one. Just creeping towards half-time, and Celtic strike. How often does that happen?
That's typical Celtic. Pressure, dominating possession. You're always going to get chances late towards a half-time whistle. Players get tired, switch off a little bit. All of a sudden, bang, they're in.
And they're getting in between the lines now again, Celtic, and that's the critical factor for them. When you get in there and they're able to play those little balls in behind, and then the quickness and the sharpness to get on the end of them. But Maeda,
well, there's going to be, I think there'll be plenty said about Daizen Maeda once the season's over, and looking back at his performances across the campaign. There was a real spell there for maybe half a season even that Nicholas Kuhn looked like he might be the player of the year. I think he'll probably be on the short list, but it's very difficult to see past Maeda right now.
Well, you can't with the goals, not recognised as an out-and-out centre forward.
Or a goal scorer.
No, and hasn't played there all season. But the amount of goals from left or through the centre now is incredible.
Pretty robust challenge by Kieran Bowie over on the far side. He's absolutely poleaxed Trusty. Nick Walsh is having a word with the big striker. He absolutely dwarfs the referee.
So this is a testing time now again for Hibs. They can't just sit back now. Now they've got to try and go and get an equaliser, and that's when they become more exposed, more open, more space probably for Celtic to go and play those killer passes in behind the back 4-5.
I can say Bowie dwarfs the referee because I'm about the same height as Nick Walsh. So Arnett Engels back up the line for Johnston, and infield to McGregor for Carter Vickers. He's a man mountain though, isn't he, Bowie?
He's a big unit, 6'4".
2 minutes being added on at the end of the first half, a minimum of, as it stands, 3 of the 45 to play. Jota knocks it through and it's cut out. Breaks back to Trusty. Low ball out to Schloop on the far side. Hibs cannot afford to concede again here. It's with Callum McGregor, and you feel Celtic will smell blood right now. They try and put some daylight between they and Hibs in the sunshine here. It's Trusty forward to Hatate, and out to Jota, level with the edge of the D of the Hibs box down the left-hand side. Couple of chops against Criscadden. Gets the cross in, it comes off Lewis Miller's head. He was diving towards his own goal there, and he puts it behind for another Celtic corner. Celtic 1, Hibs 0.
Yeah, Hatate's starting to make an influence now in the game, isn't he? You're down that sort of inside left position, getting into great positions, getting the ball, able to pick the passes.
Arguably his best game of the season last week in pace. He was outstanding. Low ball, Engels from the corner, back to McGregor. Now to Hatate, takes a touch, he shoots! Oh, it's another brilliant save by Smith. Boy, he's justifying his contract extension this afternoon. That was a wonderful strike by Hatate, who announced himself in Scottish football with a man-of-the-match performance against Hibs a couple of years ago. That's another outstanding goalkeeper.
It looked like it was heading for the top corner, and he struck it.
It was in the top corner, that's the point, John. What a save.
Terrific save from here. What a performance from the goalkeeper.
And it comes from Engels, and it was Criscadden stuck out a leg, and it looked like it might well be going back into his own goal there. It is just another corner though. But there can be no denying how important this period is for Hibernian. They cannot afford to concede again. McGregor to Hatate. Back out to McGregor, and infield to Hatate. Looks up to delicate ball in. Carter Vickers, headers just wide of the left-hand post.
Again.
Flag goes up anyway. It stays Celtic 1, Hibs 0. We're in minute 45, plus 2 to be added.
Hatate again, he's picked the ball up 35 yards out, lifted his head and delivered a perfect, I wouldn't say that's a cross, that's a pass on his head. Carter Vickers should have hit the target, but he was offside.
Celtic fans singing now. Just the one goal between them. Hibs will still fancy their chances. The difficult mission has become even more so since Maida dumped that one into the roof of the net to give the holders the lead. And clearly they deserve the lead, and they've been denied on several other occasions by Jordan Smith. Carter Vickers clears. But they are just one down, and if he can get in at half-time, get amongst his players, settle them down, then Hibs will make a fist of that second half. They've got a free kick here. Triantis takes as the 2 minutes confirmed down there by the fourth official.
Yeah, they've taken a quick free kick there. I would have preferred if you were, I'm sure David Gray would too, is if, you know, settle it down, get our big guys up and play that ball into an area where they can go. You've just kept possession, which is fine to a point, but you're at 1-0 down. Take your opportunity from a set piece.
Celtic looking for a return to Hampden already with the League Cup safely locked away in the trophy cabinet here. The league title, it's all but done as it stands. They could win that in Perth against St Johnstone at the start of next month. It's assuming they win the derby a week today. Rangers cross the city this day next week. As Trusty collects the square ball from Carter Vickers, looks up and then with the right foot out to the left-hand side for Jota. Schloop ahead of him. Down the line it goes, back to Jota. He's level with the Hibs 18-yard line. Schloop continuing his run. A little bit of trickery from Jota as he runs into a central area and finds Johnston. Now with McGregor. Now with Schloop wide in the left. The left angle of the box now. Taking on Mariah Welsh. The break of the ball favours the Hibs player on the edge of the box. It was Triantis who clears. Now Hibs might come away in a counter here. Josh Campbell driving forward. He scored a first half stoppage time goal when they met in the league a couple of weeks ago. His ball in field though was cut out by Carter Vickers, and now it's with Sloop, who goes back to his keeper. Celtic 1, Hibs 0. Well into the second of 2 minutes of stoppage time that were added on at the end of the first half. And it's Johnston to Carter Vickers. And now it's with Johnston. A very good performance, Packy, from Celtic in this first half.
Yeah, there was about a 10-minute period where it just dropped intensity slightly, but overall it's been very, very good.
I think in general Hibs will be happy. It's only 1-0. It could have been more. Hibs had one chance, but no possession.
There's the whistle. Celtic have the lead thanks to Daizen Maeda and his 27th goal of the season, and just underlining his value to this Celtic squad, and what a fine campaign he's had. Jordan Smith's made 3 or 4 outstanding saves, one early on from Callum McGregor. Kieran Bowie had his only real opportunity in the first half. He too forced a save from the keeper, with Kasper Schmeichel saving at the near post. And then Maeda skied over the bar as it looked like it was going to be goalless at the break. But then, as we enter those closing stages of the first half, Kuhn's effort saved by Smith, who would later tip over a long ranger from Rio Hatate, fell kindly for Maeda, and he dumped it into the roof of the net to give the holders the advantage at the interval in Glasgow's East End, where at half-time it is Celtic 1, Hibernian 0 in the cup quarters.
Celtic versus Hibernian.
Oh, this is why you love the game.
The Scottish Cup, live on Sportsound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Takes a touch and shoots and scores!
Where Scottish football lives.
Join Michelle McManus for Afternoons.
I've kept it a secret how kind I am.
You're so ridiculously kind, that's the thing.
God bless you, thank you.
On Thursday, I spoke to Robbie Williams. He talked about his incredible career.
If they don't come, I don't exist.
The recent movie about his life.
I just lived the life, told him about my life, and then got out of his way.
Going on tour.
My job is to make you feel good.
And he took me completely by surprise.
Would you like to come and sing with me in Edinburgh?
That's a joke. Catch Robbie and all my guest interviews on Afternoons. You can listen now on BBC Sounds.
You're listening to Sports Sound with me, Richard Gordon. It is 1-0 for Celtic right now against Hibernian at the break, and they are favourites to join Heart of Midlothian and Aberdeen in the draw for the semi-finals, which will take place late tomorrow evening after we have brought you live commentary of Livingston against St Johnstone in the one remaining quarter-final. Remember highlights of this one today, and indeed of the matches earlier at Tynecastle and Pittodrie on Sports Scene tonight, 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel. It's also quarter-final weekend, or quarter-final afternoon, in the Scottish Women's Cup. Already Motherwell are through 3-0 against Boroughmuir. Aberdeen have gone through 4-1 against St Johnstone. Rangers will be going through. Spartans kept them out for 67 minutes, but Camille Lafay got the opener just after that, and Kirsty Howitt has added to it late on for Rangers. So as that game goes into extra time, or stoppage time rather, it is Rangers 2, Spartans 0. And in the big game at the Oriam, Kozlova had put Celtic in, Glasgow City in front against Heart of Midlothian, but Hearts have just equalised. We'll bring you the score later as that moves towards half-time. It is Heart of Midlothian 1, Glasgow City 1 in the Women's Scottish Cup. As for the week ahead, well, I mentioned live commentary tomorrow night. Join us at 7 o'clock for that one remaining quarter-final between Livingston and St Johnstone. Look out tomorrow as well, and right the way through the week, Monday to Friday, for the Scottish Football Daily podcast. Thursday nights, live commentary from Ibrox. Rangers with that remarkable win in Turkey against Fenerbahce. The home leg takes place an 8 o'clock kickoff on Thursday. Join the guys for that, and then we'll round the week off on the BBC with the Championship live on BBC Scotland's Friday night. Wraith Rovers against Dunfermline, the big Fife derby. 45 minutes gone at the east end of Glasgow. It is Celtic who have been in front, and my goodness, Pat Bonner, they maybe had a spell there, 20 minutes where they weren't creating very much, but in terms of possession, in terms of control of the game, they have been pretty dominant, haven't they?
Yeah, listen, I think they've played really, really well in this game. We wondered, how Hibs would sort of approach. They've sat back. They had to sit back because Celtic had so much of the ball. They've pushed them back into areas that they had to get blocks in and so on to keep Celtic out. Celtic moved the ball brilliantly, I've got to say. A lot of it was coming sort of down the sides initially. Kuhn coming on the inside, creating a couple of opportunities for shots. With that shot, McGregor, I've got to say, and you asked me that question before the game, the saves from Jordan Smith has been sensational. The one from McGregor right down in the corner, and we've seen McGregor score those goals against other goalkeepers, but he made the save. Now he stayed back on his line. He's not the biggest, but he obviously moves very, very quickly. Got down, made a brilliant save there. The save just before half time from Hatati's shot up in the top corner was sensational. He was unlucky with the goal also because he had a great save on that. And he's coming, he's taking a few crosses and so on. Yes, John talked about his maybe quality on the ball when he's passing, but overall it's about keeping the ball out of the net, and he's done it magnificently well. Otherwise Celtic would have been probably in a good position at the moment, but they've got their goal, critical goal, and just at that period, obviously just coming up onto 40 minutes was a crucial time always to score a goal, or if you lose a goal you've got the opposite effect, and that man Maeda again just sharp as attack inside the box, to give Celtic a critical goal.
Yeah, well, that was 27th of the season. He might have got it just before then, a couple of minutes previously when he got through the middle, and he was under pressure from Bashiri. The shot over the bar, which is unusual for Maeda. I think Pat summed it up pretty well, John Collins, hasn't he? But for Jordan Smith, it could have been 3 for Celtic at half-time.
Yeah, the reality is without terrific saves, the game would be over. I think Celtic have been terrific. Started the game really well, high tempo, totally dominating the game. I wouldn't say creating clear-cut chances, one-on-ones, but shots and cutbacks and close headers, close things. Hibs couldn't really get any possession, couldn't hold the ball. Keeper went long to Bowie, hoping that he would hold up, but the reality was Carter Vickers and Trusty were winning those, and Celtic were picking up the second ball. So total real domination from Celtic, and no real surprise towards the end when they get the chance and get the goal. Hibs defended well, compact, worked hard, tirelessly, but the problem is when you keep giving the ball away, it's just waves after wave of attack with Celtic, and they've got so much quality through the middle, in the wider areas. McGregor, Hatati passes, they're always going to create chances. So the question is, obviously, Hibs will have to come out a little bit, trace the equaliser, but you can't come out gung-ho because this Celtic team will just cut you open and kill the game. Stone dead. So they've got to get the balance right, Hibs. They want to go on, be a little bit more adventurous, try and keep the ball, make Celtic work to get it back rather than just giving it back, but it's going to be difficult.
So difficult though, John, isn't it?
Yeah, very difficult.
You know, when Celtic are playing with that tempo and that intensity, they're winning the ball back and they're creating things. Your concentration is very much on the defensive side, trying to stay in the game, and then if you get the ball, you're out of breath. And that period at the start was sensational from Celtic.
But Brendan Rodgers said beforehand, didn't he? We have to be Celtic today. We had a discussion about that, Pat. They well and truly have been Celtic. And just that, I mean, we also talked on the fact that they were giving up chances in some matches of late. That's not really been the case this afternoon. Just that one quick throw, maybe Celtic switching off a wee bit. I think it was Josh Campbell with the quick
I think it was good thinking from Hibs, wasn't it? More so than maybe switching off, just catching Celtic out and then behind. But no, you're right, Richard. Everything has gone exceptionally well. What initially in the game there were a lot of possession with the two centre halves, albeit Hibs were pushed back to the edge of the box. Centre halves picking the ball up just around the halfway, or just a little bit in their own half, and moving the ball fairly quickly down the sides. A lot came from both sides. Now, I think as the game just went on in that last 10 minutes of the first half, you started to get little penetrating passes into Hatati, into those areas, and then that's where Maeda then becomes really, really important, because he's making those little penetrating runs, and his second chance came from that. It was a brilliant ball from Matati, and he get in there. And I think just for sure, I don't know if you've seen it on the box, have you? Where maybe he's just lent into him a little bit as he's gone to touch it.
He uses his strength, he uses his body. It's not foul. It's certainly not anything that should have been awarded against the defender, but I think he's quite clever.
Hit the target even at that?
Well, he Maeda kind of slides almost, and he just gets his foot under the ball, I think, and lifts it up over the bar. It's you would have fancied, even under pressure, you'd have fancied Maeda in the form he's been in to put the ball in the net. He wasn't able to do so. Look, as things stand, clearly Hibs need to score, John, and I know it's a cup tie, and the perceived wisdom would be you're as well losing by 4 as you are by 1. You're out of the cup in any case. But is it still the situation where David Gray and Hibs have to try to remain in this game for as long as they can, and maybe think about opening up a little bit later on and trying to find a way through Celtic?
I would love to tell you I want to see them go gung-ho and try and get a goal and open up, but the reality is if they do that, this Celtic team could probably pick them up on a number of occasions. They could take a heavy defeat. But I think David will think, look, keep it tight the first 20 minutes, but I think he'll be saying to them, we're going to try and get more possession, we're going to try and pass it out from the back. What you've got with this system, Hibs, with 3 central defenders and 2 wing backs, it's basically a back 5, right? And Celtic push their wingers high and wide and a centre forward, so that's 5v3, so Hibs can't press. They're just running about. The rest of the players, the 5 Hibs players, are playing against 7 Celtic players, and they're running and chasing, and as the games go on, they'll get so tired, Celtic will cut them open. The question is, will they change his system? Will he go to a back 4? I don't think he'll change anything. I'll just say, keep it as it is, try and stay compact. We get throw-ins, get them in the box, try and again, they've lost Carden, which is a huge blow as well. Any corners or set pieces you get, he can fire them in as a threat. So that's a real shame from Hibs, and I hope going forward it's not a serious hamstring injury. Hopefully he's back for next week or the week after. But I don't think I'm looking at Hibs bench. They have got a lot of forwards on the bench, but I don't see them making any substitution or changes to maybe 15-20 minutes to go.
No, I think what they've got to do is stay in the game. 1-0, if you stay in the game, and Celtic haven't been able to increase their lead, and you get it down to the last sort of 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you have a real chance then to maybe make that change to that back 4 and get Hoylett on or get Gale on, and those experienced players, and they have a wee eye for goal also.
So what Hibs have got here, they've got 7,000 supporters here came through, so they'll get a little bit anxious, or they'll start hearing them if Hibs are sitting back and letting Celtic completely dominate the game. They'll want to see them have a go, and it's just, again, it's that balance, when to go and attack and when to sit back. One thing they've got to, if they go and attack, they've got to go as a unit. They can't have huge gap between the back centre halves and the centre forwards. That distance always got to be 30-40 yards. It can't be 60-70 yards, and the game becomes really open, because then you will see Celtic.
I just wonder, John, would he change the shape slightly in midfield maybe, and push one of his maybe 2 of his midfielders higher up a little bit and leave one sitting, just to nullify McGregor. Every time that Boyle or Bowie goes and puts a bit of pressure on the centre halves, on Schmeichel, they pop the ball into McGregor. McGregor's free and he turns, and that's the press over almost.
The reality is the only way they can get any pressure up the top of the pitch is to do away with 3 central defenders. They're outnumbered otherwise. They'll sit with 3 central defenders against Maeda. They're outnumbered everywhere. So will they change it to a back 4? I don't think so, because the back 5 of 3 and 2 wing backs has been successful for 15 matches, so I doubt it'll change that.
I suppose this, and it will largely depend on what Celtic do and the approach they come out and how they play in the second half, I guess, but this is where you would hope, from Hibs' point of view, that the confidence that they have gathered over the course of this 15-match unbeaten run might help sustain them, Pat, might give them some belief, self-belief for the second half.
Yeah, well, listen, they will believe. I think I don't know whether they've been in this position throughout those 15 games, they've maybe been on the front foot and almost maybe in the lead in most of them games.
There's been a couple where they've had to come from
right.
behind,
Okay,
yeah.
well, they can then look to that and say, well, what do we do then? How do we change it? But I'm sure David Gray has thought about this, leading into this. He always kind of probably knew that he might have to do something different because he might fall behind. So then he'll rely on that. The players will be tuned into that, I would think. And that's what you've got to do. But the listener confidence is still very, very high. And they know that they've got players in the team also that can score goals for them if they get the opportunities. There was a set piece that he took really short, just what I think probably about 2 or 3 minutes to go to half-time. For me, I think you've got to try to use all those things. They've got the long throw, which we've seen, into the box, but try to use those things, because when it goes to a set piece, both teams are equal. And if you've got a little advantage in the air and that, with maybe bigger players, use it. Don't just throw those opportunities away.
One thing's we know Celtic are going to come out, they're going to go for the jugular. Brendan's teams, he'll be saying to them, we want goals. Second goal will kill Hibs off. Hibs first 10-15 minutes they're going to have to keep it nice and tight, weather the storm.
Well, both sets of players are back out. It is Celtic 1, Hibernian 0 at the interval. 27th goal of the season from Bison Maeda, putting Celtic in pole position to become the third of this season's Scottish Cup semi-finalists. Live second half commentary with us here on Sportsound and BBC Radio Scotland with John Collins, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
The last time Celtic lost a domestic game here at home, having scored the first goal, was when Motherwell beat them in December 2015. So knocking on a decade since Celtic scored first and lost to a fellow Scottish club inside their own stadium. Huge task for Hibs now. Celtic aiming to win the Scottish Cup for a record-extending 43rd time as they kick off the second half. No changes for either team. Of course, Hibs had to make one in the first half. Nicky Cadden off and Jordan Abita on as Celtic come down the right already, going right to left in the green and white hoops up against Hibs in their green and purple change kit. That goes out for a throw-in over on the far side for Celtic, about level with the penalty spot as Johnston bowls it back to Carter Vickers, who looks and sees what's ahead of him, decides to play the simple ball to Johnston on the touchline and infield to Kuhn. Faced by Triantis and back with Carter Vickers. It's Schmeichel in goal for Celtic. Johnston, Carter Vickers, Trusty, Sloop, Engels, McGregor, Hitate, Kuhn, Jota, Maeda. Hibs with Smith in goal, Miller, Bashiri, Iredale, Chris Cadden, Triantis, Mariah, Welsh, Obita, Campbell, Boyle, Bowie. That's rolled back to Schmeichel at the edge of his own box. Short side foot to his right there for Carter Vickers, who goes back to Kasper Schmeichel. And out to Sloop on this near side. And McGregor finds Johnston on the right. Up the line there for Kuhn. Abita trying to stick with him. Nicholas Kuhn's running at him here with the ball up to the angle of the box, plays into the overlapping Johnston, across it comes, and Smith smothers at the feet of Jota, who was looking to get on the end of it. It stays Celtic 1, Hibs 0. It's a brilliant move down the right there.
Yeah, a really good move from Celtic, working the ball through the thirds of the pitch down the right hand side, and that ball was played with pace right across the 6-yard box. But again, the goalkeeper picks up that very advanced position off his post and deals with that ball. Really, really good goalkeeping, I've got to say.
David Gray down there, that head of his, of course, ended 114 years of pain for the Hibs fans when he scored that late winner against Rangers in that 2016 final. That Hibs team quite clearly was down an Easter Road legend. I mean, the famous five didn't manage it. Turnbull's Tornadoes didn't manage it. Gray and Co did. So that comes back to Smith, it's the edge of his box. Maeda, of course, closing him down. He's to dump it away quickly up towards Boyle. There was an offside flag. Nick Walsh is allowing Celtic an advantage because they were in possession. And it's Johnston to McGregor in the centre circle. Shifts it to the left for Trusty. Out to this near side for Sloop. Infield to Hitate. He goes back to Carter Vickers. He was fouled by Triantis, and Nick Walsh is going to book the Aussie here. And if Hibs were to go through to the semi-finals, they would have to do without Nectarios Triantis. Maeda got a quick free kick there. The ref's not ready, and the Celtic players or supporters can't complain because Hitate's still on the deck.
Really interesting. David Gray's obviously had a No, the Warren's told his front five and wants them to press.
Possible red here, by the way, they're checking.
I don't think so. Surely not.
Serious foul play, it says, yeah.
Kevin Clancy's the VAR. Hatate's still down.
It depends how he's caught him. Seem to be walking away from. They haven't had anybody on to give him treatment, which is interesting.
He's okay. He's up.
Well, they are checking this red right now. Nick Walsh being told to just hold play as they check to see whether this yellow for Triantis should be upgraded to red.
Yeah, I don't
think so. No, game on. The yellow card stands. As Hibs go down to 10, you can almost get to the point where you can forget them going through. Anyway, Triantis stays on. No, he won't be able to play at Hampden in the semis if Hibs are able to turn this round in their favour.
Yeah, I'm just again looking at the midfield, John, from Hibs. Can they get a little bit closer to McGregor? And that, he seems to be sort of very free in there, and that sort of almost hold and roll, and they're playing the ball around the front too.
It's so difficult from Celtic. Have got terrific movement and superior numbers.
Well, Boyle and Bowie have barely been involved in the game. Bowie had a good chance in the first half, but we've barely seen Martin Boyle. He's not got in behind once, I don't think.
Well, at the bottom line, they've had no possession in the middle of the park. You need possession of the ball before you can feed them.
Jota on the left, midway inside Hibs territory, plays it short to Schlupp. Forward to Engels, just to his legs and breaks kindly for Triantis. He goes back to his keeper. Smith launches it high up towards the halfway line. Met by the head of Trusty, nodding it forward. Maida was coming back from an offside position, so Bushiri can head away. Schlupp finds Hatate, who fires it out into the feet of Jota on the left. Now he's taking on Cadden. Making for the byline now, Jota, and his ball across is blocked and behind for the corner.
Good defending from Cadden, stuck to his task. He's not a full-back, he's a wide midfielder, I'd class him, but he does his work well. Stops the cross coming in.
He's done well defensively since kind of being converted to that role. I mean, he could play wide. Occasionally he saw it at Motherwell, but generally he was in the midfield, you're right. There'll be a corner then for Engels to take. On the main stand side, the Celtic attack the Jock Stein stand to our left. Jordan Smith with his hands high in the air. Just under his crossbar. Another crowded 6-yard box as the corner comes in. Headed away well by Obita. That's what he brings to the team. The referee's blown his whistle for Hibs anyway, and they've got a free kick inside their own box. It is Celtic 1, Hibs 0. We're just beyond the 50-minute mark here at Celtic Park. The third of the Scottish Cup quarter-finals.
Right. I'd like to see the Hibs central defenders wanting the ball. Take it off your goalkeeper. That's it. Feed it.
And it's played out to the left there for Iredale. Down the line for Obita. Boyle's on his bike this time. Obita, can he find him? He needs to be good. It's away by Trusty though. And Carter Vickers has given it straight back to Obita, but Engels is there to smash it up the pitch. And it's into the Hibs half with Rocky Bushiri, who plays it to his right for Miller. Onto the touchline for Cadden. Steps in field away from Jota, then under pressure he's to go back to Miller, who goes back to his goalkeeper. Still Celtic within striking distance for Edinburgh's green and white, as Mariah Welsh goes back to Iredale and then out to the left for Obita. First time ball forward there to Bowie, out to Campbell, who we've barely seen in the game either, and he's been challenged well there by Johnston, albeit on the stretch. He appears to have hurt himself. Celtic play on here with Schlupp across halfway. Plays it to his left for Jota, the left angle of the Hibs box. Outside of the boot, he plays it into that corridor between the keeper and the defence, but Smith's onto it with Engels unable to make any contact with the ball whatsoever. Hibs come away with it down the left there with Campbell in field to Triantis. He's lost out though to a combination of Hatate and Kuhn, and now it's Johnston who's back on his feet and he's okay. Finds Jota in the centre circle, short to McGregor and then to Schlupp.
Triantis has got to do better there. It's simple possession in the middle of the pitch, giving it away needlessly. He's got to move it quicker.
I also thought there was an opportunity to go and counter-attack Celtic. The goalkeeper's done well, picked up the ball, get to the edge of his box, he throws it out, short throw out to him, and he had space to go and attack.
Skill by Jota down the left. Chris Cadden's gone to the ground. No free kick play on. Advantage for Celtic. Jota into the box. Drops onto the right. Shoots. Saved by Smith. And stabbed clear by Lewis Miller. It's brilliant brilliant from Jota down the left flank. Stays 1-0 to the holders.
Jota at his very best. One thing in his mind, getting at the full-back, beating him and getting his shot off. A little bit too close for the goalkeeper, that one.
Schlupp in the central area to his left for Trusty, and then out to this near side for Jota. He goes back to Austin Trusty, who finds McGregor just in the fringes of the centre circle in the Hibs half. Short to Engels, out to the right for Johnston. Onto the touchline for Kuhn. Facing Abita, Johnston goes round him. They overlap Kuhn along the 18-yard line. He jinks, plays it short to the left of the D for Hatate. Then to Jota. Just behind Hatate, the return ball, but he's onto it, squares it to McGregor. Now it's Schlupp, looking for Engels. Good, well defended there by Miller. Strong, the edge of his box, goes back to his keeper. And Smith clears out to the far side. Bowie will try and keep that in play. He's been unable to do that. He's ended up flattering into the advertising in front of the North Stand on the far side. The Celtic 1, Hibs 0, approaching 54 minutes.
I think that's the ball you're talking about, John, when the goalkeeper gets it. Kenny had a better quality ball. He's got two strikers to pick out there, and he's got to be seeing that before the ball comes to him. He's got to know where they are.
And the two strikers had no protective midfielders in front of them. It was an easy ball to drop into their chest. Never even looked there.
McGregor left to right of the circle there for Johnston. Low ball to his right for Kuhn. He's a bit level with the Hibs 18-yard line now as he skips and feels at the angle. He shoots for goal, but it's easy for Smith at his near post to hold on to this time from the left-footed effort from the German, and it stays Celtic 1, Hibs 0. It's Triantis stumbles in the ball. Hatate's nicked it off him, and Kuhn now up towards the edge of the box, driving forward. Side-foot efforts deflected behind for a Celtic corner, and Triantis is a lucky boy.
Very lucky, dwelling the ball. He's looking tired already. Just the start of the second half. That's what happens when you have hardly any touches. All you're doing is running, chasing. All of a sudden you get the ball and you're a bit tired, lethargic looking, isn't he?
And he needs to be a team player, doesn't he? Because he needs that positive mental attitude, despite the fact he wouldn't be able to play in the semi-final if Hibs are able to turn this around. And that might be clouding him as well. And this tie could get away from Hibs quite quickly if they're not careful. Mistakes like that could have been costly. Engels will take in-swinger with the right foot into the 6-yard box when it's met by the head of Campbell, who clears. Hatate heads it out to this near side. Campbell chasing. McGregor gets there first. His header finds Engels. Engels then moving in field away from Campbell, looking to shuffle away from Boyle. He goes for goal. It's deflected, and Celtic have another corner, this time over on the far side.
You just feel another goal's going to come soon, I think.
Yeah, they're just pinning Hibs back in. Hibs can't get out, can't get up the pitch, and the more that they're pinned in, the more opportunity will come for Celtic.
Kuhn's over this one, in-swinger with the left foot coming up from Kuhn in towards the back post, a very deep one. Engels flicks behind him. It is back to goal, but it was behind harmlessly.
I'd like to see a little bit more imagination from Celtic at the corners.
That was their 9th. They've all been the same, really. There's been a couple, 1 or 2 have been played short. The rest have been swung into that area.
In fairness, Hibs are strong in that area. 3 central defenders are decent at winning the headers. I'd like to see maybe a little short one. Mix it up.
56 on the clock. Celtic 1, Hibs 0. Long from Jordan Smith, up towards Bowie, challenged by Trusty. Miller gets onto it, but loses out to Rio Hatate. He's looking to get Kuhn away. Here's a wonderful ball. Kuhn sprinting away from Iredale. Chance potentially to win the tie, but that's a wonderful slide challenge by Jack Iredale, just as Kuhn was thinking of pulling the trigger. It stays Celtic 1, Hibs 0.
Tremendous defending. Had to get that right. If his timing was wrong there, it was a penalty kick.
Yeah, listen, it was brilliant defending, but what a ball from Hatate.
Yeah, well, great.
Under pressure, losing his balance, he picks out a great ball for Kuhn.
Cadden for Boyle down the right-hand side, blocked by Trusty, and Hibs have a corner right in front of their 7,000 supporters off to our right. So they try and find an equaliser. And Jordan Obita's coming over to take. I have to say, I thought Obita's height might come in useful.
Yeah, he's got a good left foot. He'll whip this in on top of the goalkeeper. Hibs usually attack it well from set pieces.
Edinburgh side looking for a leveller here. Obita waits to take. So look up at the Celtic box. Everyone bar Kuhn's back to defend it. In from Obita, and it was in a decent area as well, but it's just a bit too high for both Campbell and Iredale, and it goes behind for a Celtic goal kick, which Schmeichel's already taken short to the right. Given away though. Mariah Welsh down the line for Triantis. Back to Iredale. His ball forwards cut out. Now it's at the feet of Daizen Maida. Just outside the centre circle. He rolls it to his left for Sloop. Then up the left-hand touchline for Jota. Taking on Obita. It's an early ball looking for Maida. He goes down, wagging the finger from Nick Walsh. No free kick. The challenge is from Rocky Bushiri. Could have gone either way, that. In the end, it's gone Hibs' way.
Yeah, I think that was a free kick, because he stepped across him just as he's trying to make his run.
Well, it's only controversial if Hibs do something here as they attack Celtic. Down the line, Cadden for Bowie. Level with the Celtic 6-yard line on the near side touchline. Back up for Cadden. Gets away from a couple of challenges. Hatate with the tackle, and out it goes for the throw-in down by the corner flag on this near side. You know, some boos from the Celtic fans there.
From Hibs.
Well, it's going to be the long throw, isn't it?
And as you know, Lewis Miller's got some long throw on him. Getting close to the hour mark at Celtic Park. The holders leading 1-0 against Hibs. And Hibs have a chance to put this into the mixer here. Lewis Miller drying the ball down. Long run up coming up here. He's almost back against the wall of the main stand off to our right. And in it comes from Miller into the 6-yard box. Split tap away, breaks to Triantis. It's scuffed, almost came to Boyle. But for Johnston's clearance, he would have done. More height than distance on it though, but Sloop's there to launch it away. And there's a free kick. There's a Celtic player down inside the box. I think it's Engels, and that will be a free kick to the home team, who continue to lead the tie by a goal to nothing.
Better little spell from Hibs, getting some set pieces, some corners, higher up the pitch, some possession.
Are you reading the game at the moment, Packy?
Yeah, I think it's in the balance. Obviously, Celtic getting the one goal is critical for them and puts them in a position. They don't have to do anything else if it stays this way. But I think the game is still very much in the balance. I think Hibs have they'll come up, but there'll be a big chance somewhere. Celtic desperate for that second goal, of course, to finish the game. I think if they do get a second goal, I think then the game probably would be over. But yeah, Hibs is starting to just realise that they have a chance here.
The third Scottish Cup quarter-final live here on Sportsline and BBC Radio Scotland. Across the frequencies this Sunday afternoon. Highlights to come on Sports Scene at 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel of this one, and a look back at the other two and ahead to tomorrow when Livy play St Johnstone. Semi-final draw follows that. There's a chance for McGregor to put it across, and Maida was inches away from turning home Celtic second. Brendan Rodgers with his head in his hands down below us. He knows it's a huge chance, and Lewis Miller's absolutely clattered into the goal frame there as well. That would have been a sore one.
That was tremendous play on the right hand side. I think it was Kuhn.
Johnson, I think it was.
Kuhn played Johnson into the byline. Great cutback, and he was.
How did he miss?
Inches away.
How did he
tapping
miss?
it in, Maeda.
He's got decent contact on the ball too. Just the wrong side of the post.
Strong play by Bowie against Trusty. He wins it back for Hibs, plays it right to left of the centre circle for Campbell, and out it goes to Obita on the left. Kuhn trying to stick with him. Just a challenge, and done very well there, Nicholas Kuhn, to win it back for Celtic. Now he's scampering in field.
Tremendous.
Short to McGregor.
Tremendous play from Kuhn. Defensive work for his team. Manager would be delighted to see that.
The fans are delighted also, and that's the bit that sometimes goes unnoticed, and they've got to be able to do that even though you've got all the other attributes going forward. But if you can do that, and you can see how the crowd react to that.
And to stay in the Celtic team, you've got to do things like that, don't you? Hibs going to make a couple of changes shortly. Levitt and Gale are waiting on the touchline.
Bowie will be coming off. He looks like he's ran out of fuel.
Did well holding off Trusty there, right enough. It's good.
They did very well.
Link-up play. Celtic with McGregor. It's shifted to Johnston on the right and up the line for Kuhn. Johnston on the underlap. Kuhn comes in field instead. It's a left-footed clip ball forward looking to try and get Engels involved, but Hibs are able to get in the way and clear, and it's Campbell up the line for Boyle. Boyle's got Bowie ahead of him. He has to come back the way though, and that allows the Celtic players to funnel backwards. into their defensive postings as Bushiri picks up, finds Miller out to Cadden on this near side. Cadden with the ball forward, looking for Boyle. Now he knocks it on the chest forward, but Carter Vickers holds him off, and he comes right through to Schmeichel, and it stays Celtic 1, Hibernian 0 on 62 and a half.
Good defending from Carter Vickers. He's followed the running Boyle. He's always going to have the upper hand when it comes to strength, shoulder to shoulder.
Austin Trusty, left of the centre circle, finds Schlupp in the Hibs half, then out to the left for Jota. Goes back to Trusty, and then squares it to Carter Vickers. Two Hibs subs waiting to come on. Next stoppage in play, that'll be happening. Hatate for Schlupp, and then onto the touchline for Jota, and field to Hatate, stabs it back to Schlupp. Celtic 27 minutes plus stoppages away from the semis. Given away there by the holders, and it's with Triantis in the middle of the pitch, just outside the centre circle in his own half, out to the left for Iredale, but he can't find Obita. And that goes out for a Celtic throw-in on the far side, and those changes will be made, and as John said, Bowie off, Gale on, and the other change will see Mariah Welsh come off to be replaced by the Welshman Dylan Levitt. And I think that was the changes last week in the derby, wasn't it?
Yep, no surprise, fresh legs in the middle of the pitch. Gale's a clever player, always looks to get in behind centre half, but he can also take it in. He's not the biggest, but he holds it up nicely. Levitt will get on the ball, not the most mobile, but he always wants the ball, he'll keep the ball.
Scored a really good goal against Celtic in Dundee United colours, still in Levitt. Actually a night Celtic won the title. Draw at Tannadice. Carter Vickers goes back to Schmeichel. He'll turn it to his left for Trusty. Schlupp's on this near side. Jeffrey Schlupp up towards halfway, finds Hatate out to the left for Jota. Rolls it back to McGregor. McGregor then to Carter Vickers. Got Johnston ahead of him on the right hand side. That's where the pass goes, and then Johnston onto the touchline for Kuhn. Back to Carter Vickers. Gale will chase him down. The Celtic defender strides forward. He makes it look so effortless at times. Cameron Carter Vickers, he's still on it down the right. Away from a couple of challenges there, but Engels has lost it. Carter Vickers out of position. The Hibs have the ball. They've had to come out all the way out to the right as Cadden knocks it down the line here for Triantis. Holding off Hatate. Has he kept it in? No, he hasn't. Throw into Celtic down on this near side. Celtic 1, Hibs 0. 65 played.
You know, at 1-0, there's always hope. You can see there's still energy in the Hibs players. Still belief. I think it's been a better second half from an offensive point of view than it was the first half. They're now pushing forward a little bit more. Celtic have got the pace in the wide areas. McGregor never gives the ball away, does he?
Very, very seldomly. He's on to it again here, McGregor. And he's found Schlupp, left hand side of the D, at the edge of the Hibs box, looking for space to shoot, which he does! It's not far away. Wow, he got plenty behind that, did Jeffrey Schlupp. We got off the mark in the goal-scoring stakes in Paisley last Saturday evening. He's not far away. If that's on target, it's probably beating Smith on the left-hand side of his goal. It stays Celtic 1, Hibs 0.
Yeah, it was a great set-up play, wasn't it, by McGregor and Hatate. Little combination of play, and then just picking out Schlupp, who goes into that sort of inverted fullback. He cuts across, creates a little space for himself, and then with his right foot drills it. I would say probably 6, couple of just past the left-hand post. Goalkeeper no chance.
Miller infield to Triantis now with Cadden looking for Triantis, but given away, and Maida's going to get onto it. It's a lovely little flick for Hatate. Miller wrestles the ball away from him. Offside flag was up in any case. So Celtic leading 1-0, lead to join Hearts and Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup semi-finals this season. The final place will be between Livingston and St Johnstone tomorrow, as I mentioned, live here on the radio, live on BBC Scotland television as well, and it will be followed by the draw for the last 4. Thursday, Rangers against Fenerbahce, as Barry Ferguson looks to take the team through to the quarter-finals of the Europa League. 3-1 up from the first leg. Here come Hibs driving down the right. That game live here on Sportsound. Chris Cadden, early ball in, looking for Gale, who goes down. The Hibs fans roar for a penalty. Goal kick it is for Celtic as we approach the final quarter of the quarter.
I'm looking at Martin Boyle there.
Penalty check here.
I think interesting. Martin Boyle, I'm just going to pick. He's looking so fresh. 32 years of age, and he's still making those darting runs.
Yeah, he's right on the line. I thought Boyle might have been a little bit offside. Game on. But obviously I think it's worth a check just to make sure. But it was good play. He's playing just on the shoulder of the centre half, looking to get down inside, and that inside sort of kind of almost right channel for him.
Jeffrey Sloop rolling it back to Trusty. Celtic have already come through. Kilmarnock and Raith Rovers both at home. They could win the cup this season, not play outside Glasgow.
Look, this is the difference with Kasper Schmeichel. It's like another outfield player. It's so difficult to press and stress them when they just pop it back to him.
Yeah, they're more than comfortable using Schmeichel in that respect. And he was full of praise for Manuel Neuer when they came up against each other a few weeks ago, and nobody's better at that than Neuer.
But listen, both of those are almost in their late twilight of their career, and that's what the young goalkeepers need to be working on, left and right, and under pressure also, not just doing it and it looks great and then the game starts and they can't do it when they're under pressure.
So Neuer's out for a while after picking up an injury the other night. The Celtic come forward down the left, and Jota a couple of chops into the box, but he shows too much of it. Triantison's away, breaks to hit Tate. His efforts blocked by Campbell. He would have felt the full force of that, I would have thought. As that pops out for a throw-in on the far side for Celtic, just a bit level with the edge of the centre circle. Inside their own half, it's pulled back by Johnston to Carter Vickers. Again, utilises Kasper Schmeichel. Just over 20 left. Have Hibs got a big chance in them? That's the question.
Well, I think when you've got Boyle looking as sharp as he is, you're always going to have maybe one little chance. All he needs is one through ball.
Yeah, their unbeaten run under the ultimate duress here at Celtic Park right now. As Kuhn drifts in field and rolls it back to Carter Vickers.
Yes, Celtic are in that two minds now. Do we go and try and finish this? Do we manage the game out a little bit more? You know, it's not in their DNA to manage games out. It's about trying to score the next goal, but they're in that area. It's the cup game, and there's 20 minutes left in this game.
Here comes Celtic down the left, switched out to Jota, level with the penalty spot, back to Schloop. Gets his cross in with the left foot. It's too high for Engels, who arrived in there about 6 yards out. He just sails over his head and out for a throw-in over on the far side, the Hibs left. So just creeping into the final 20 minutes of the 90 here. And David Gray, he'll be delighted that they're just still in the tie right now.
I think David Gray will be happy with what he's seen in the second half. Celtic haven't had any clear-cut chances, I don't think. They've had lots of possession, a few shots, no one-on-ones.
A longer range. Yep. Schloop one went closest probably.
He's in.
Not forward. Boyle in behind Carter Vickers. No flag at the moment. Boyle is to try and get the ball under control, and eventually he's crowded out and his shot's blocked. Schmeichel digs it out to Johnston. It just wouldn't sit for him. If that had been a bit further ahead of him, he could have eclipsed both Carter Vickers and Trusty Beenan on goal.
But what he gives every single one of those Hibs fans and his man and his team, they give him hope. Just one pass, because he's playing on the shoulder and it looks like he's got the pace of the two central defenders.
Sometimes he does look offside when you see it. He's so far in front of him when that ball's played, but it's just the timing of the run, and he's just playing on the verge of offside.
It's Engels for Celtic on the halfway line, encouraging Schloop to move forward in the left overlap, and he's onto it now. Is Schloop, left angle of the box for Jota. His ball forward, and the return is cut out by Cadden. And Triantis, I think, came off the ref, did it? Ref might let them play on if Hibs emerge with the ball. In fact, they've got a free kick anyway. Campbell was brought to the ground. Celtic 1, Hibs 0 here on Sports Sound.
Yeah, Brendan hasn't gone to the bench yet, but I see him. He's just popped into the dugout to have a chat with John Kennedy, probably.
So often here, Packy, on the hour mark, he does go to the bench because they've normally got the game pretty much sewed up by that point.
Yeah, absolutely. But now it's gone into almost the last 20 minutes. You know, do you change it? The team looks a little bit just running out of a few ideas at the moment.
Don't need to score anymore, of course. Hibs will try and change that mindset. It's Gale back to Triantis, clips it forward, looking for Boyle, headed away by Carter Vickers, and now it's with Kuhn, but he's had it taken off him by Iredale. No free kick. Hibs play on. Campbell rolling it wide left for Abita. Gale and Boyle in the middle, and it comes, but it's a poor delivery really, and it's easily away by Carter Vickers, who fires it out to that far side where Iredale keeps it in play. Down the line for Abita. He's been excellent, Jack Iredale. Another star for Hibs over the course of the last few months, and his goal last week summed that up, didn't it?
That was Hibs' goal of the season. He's comfortable on the ball. He very rarely just launches it. He plays nice passes into the midfield or into the wide areas.
And he also looks, John, as he's got a wee turn of pace, which is decent pace.
He's on it again here. Iredale's a long clip ball looking for Boyle. Schlup heads away and prevents it getting through to the Hibs number 10 and captain. It's now with McGregor into the centre circle for Hatate, spinning away from Levitt and rolling it back to Carter Vickers, who in turn side puts it to the right for Johnston. Back to Carter Vickers, now McGregor, 73 on the clock, 1-0 to Celtic. It's Hatate back to Trusty, out to Schlup on this near side. Little ball in field to Rio Hatate, and now with McGregor, who finds Maida on the halfway line. Back to McGregor, to his right for Carter Vickers, and then out to the right touchline for Kuhn. Pokes it forward there for Johnston. Iredale trying to stick with him. Johnston and Iredale wrestling there, and Johnston emerges with the ball, finds Kuhn. An early ball into the box, cleared by Bushiri. Campbell back to Abita on the left hand side. Celtic change coming in a moment. Yang looks like he's coming on as Campbell runs it out of play for a throw-in on the far side, and it will be a Celtic throw-in, and Luke McCowan also coming on, so it'll be at least a double change here for Celtic. Yang and McCowan coming on.
I think you'll see Jota coming off, looking a little bit tired. He's not played a lot of games.
Yeah, he kind of hinted at that, didn't he, Brendan Rodgers, in his pre-match interview, but funnily enough, it's the captain who's going to be replaced by Luke McCowan. It is Jota who will be replaced by Yang. Callum McGregor, who's an absolute machine, as we know, is going to come off here with more than 15 minutes of the quarter-final still to play.
Unusual for Callum to come off. There's not many times I've seen him coming off.
Took him off last week also.
Did he?
Yeah, and Engels stepped back into that position.
Right.
So I assume the same thing will happen here.
He's got a slight calf problem, Callum McGregor, which will explain it.
Maybe he's getting a little
bit. Come off against St Mirren last weekend.
That'll be the reason. It's nothing to do with his football or his performance.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, who made a real impact was Yang last week.
Oh yeah, when he came on he was really good. Scored twice, of course. Junior Hoylett is going to come on for Hibs. He had a big say in the two-headed goals Aberdeen scored against Celtic in last season's semi-final, which is the closest Brendan Rodgers, I think, has come to losing in this tournament. Aberdeen beaten on penalties in the end, but Hoylett was outstanding when he came off the bench in that game. Quite surprised Aberdeen didn't retain Hoylett for this campaign, just for his experience and what he can still bring. We've seen what he's offered to Hibs, even just from the bench. Ellie Johan's going to come on too, and there's some more pace. Here comes Celtic with Johnston. He's going to win the corner. Celtic in the double figures in that category now. 15 left. Celtic 1, Hibs 0.
Yeah, Iredale again getting into a good position there and closing down, getting a block in, not allowing that cross to come in.
So Johan brings unpredictability, but lots of pace.
I mean, he's on it, he can cause problems.
Big pitch, lots of space here, it should suit him.
However, if Celtic score now, it's not going to happen. You wouldn't feel. In comes the corner, but Smith holds on again inside the 6-yard box. He's in a good game, Jordan Smith. Visiting goalkeepers have to have good games if they're going to get a result, and he has done, but even then sometimes it isn't enough, as is underlined by the current scoreboard situation for the High Bees. This is bowled by Smith out to Cadden on the near side, infield to Triantis, stepping away from Yang. Triantis forward, finds Boyle to his right. Boyle then knocks it out to Cadden on the near side. Cadden goes back the way to Miller. And Miller, a little chip forward to Triantis. Cadden's an option on the right. He's managed to get some space free of Schlup for now, but has lost his bearings as the cross has gone horribly wrong and behind for the goal kick, and it will stay Celtic 1, Hibs 0. As the changes come, Campbell and Boyle have run their races, and it will be Hoylett and Johan who'll come on.
Fresh legs up the top of the pitch.
They've worked hard.
For it now, they've worked their socks off.
When you're a wing back and you've got to work up and down the side, it's not easy. That probably showed in that final cross that he had there just before he came off Cadden. But then Martin Boyle, is it Martin Boyle has come off? Yeah.
I wouldn't have taken Martin Boyle off.
He's always dangerous.
and he doesn't look tired.
Schmeichel with a goal kick for Celtic, short to Trusty. Hibs don't manage to at least force extra time here. They will then probably be roaring on Celtic to win the trophy, because they'll have big designs on third spot. And the only way that achieves guaranteed Conference League football, at least, would be if Celtic win the trophy again. Obita has it on the left. Rolls it out to Hoylett, who's just on. Looks up at the box, fires the ball in. It's cleared by Carter Vickers. If you can get the ball to Hoylett, then he could potentially cause problems. And they did there, but it wasn't his finest cross. He's just on though. Miller picks up on the near side, finds Johan. Ball back the way is with Lewis Miller, who plays it off Hatate and out for a Hibs throw-in on this near side. 78 played. Clock ticking down on the Hibees. This long unbeaten run, which is extended to 3 months since they were last here, is under threat unless they can find an equaliser and try and force extra time. Miller bowls it to Hoylett, but if keepy uppy there from Junior Hoylett's done well to then nonchalantly flick it out to Obita on the left. Obita out to Gale, level with the 18-yard line of Celtic. He's found Johan, level with the 6-yard line, up against McCowan. It is Johan. McCowan's read him though, and he's won it back. The Celtic sub running forward, but he in turn loses out to Johan, albeit it breaks favourably for Hatate. Celtic fans wanted the early ball. They're giving Hatate dogs abuse there.
Well, so did Maeda. Maeda was making a run, penetrating, running behind the back four. Lots of space to play it into as well. Surprised Hatate. Normally he sees that and delivers.
Yeah, it's that mindset though, isn't it? When you're 1-0 up, you're managing the game, you take a chance or keep the ball.
Yeah. It's not like he lost the ball either.
Yeah.
Johnston picks up on the right and then back to Carter Vickers. Now with Hatate. Carter Vickers with the armband since Callum McGregor went off. The Hibs have only really got 10 minutes plus stoppage time left to play with here.
Yeah, I thought Cadden went off. Actually, he didn't. He's still on the pitch.
Yeah.
There's no mistake.
Boyle and Campbell, who came off just a moment ago. So Trusty plays it short to Schloop, and then field to Engels, and then back to Trusty. Short ball to Carter Vickers, and then out to Johnston. McCowan ahead of him. He instead plays it infield to Engels, midway inside his own half. It's a long pinged ball, looking for Yang in behind. What a pass it was. Yang's onto it, but Miller heads behind for the corner. Really good pass.
Offside.
Flag's gone up anyway, so it won't be a corner. It'll be a goal, a free kick to Hibs, just outside the box here.
But it is the ball, isn't it? You know, over the top. When you have the pace of Yang and the pace of Maeda he's still on the pitch. You can still. They're taking a little chance now. Obviously, Hibs. We've gone into our back four. Is it almost?
Well, Celtic have only lost 2 of their last 38 Scottish Cup ties. Both were against Rangers. Most recently in the semis, a couple of contentious issues there on the pitch. Celtic not getting the free kick decision. It's going to be a Hibs ball. Lewis Miller's limping. Not sure what happened there.
He does like a limp.
All right, okay. I see. It's like that, is it? As Hoylett fails to keep it in play over on the far side. Johnston takes the throw in. 9 left of the 90. Celtic 1, Hibernian 0. Hearts and Aberdeen both through on Friday night and Saturday lunchtime respectively. Here on Sunday afternoon. As it stands, Celtic will be joining them and chasing a 43rd Scottish Cup success. Obita takes the throw in, short to Dylan Levitt, back to Obita, back to the left angle of his box there for Jack Iredale. Forward to Levitt, midway inside his own half, short ball to the left for Obita, goes back to the edge of his box for Iredale, who sweeps it along the 18-yard line for Bushiri. And then low ball to Miller, and it's gone underneath his foot and out for a throw, and he's complaining that the pass came in the first place.
I don't know what Miller's complaining about. He got a ball to his foot and he's blaming the player that passed it to him.
I know.
For his bad control.
Unless he's saying, look, I'm feeling the effects here of an injury, So don't pass to me, but even then...
No, he just didn't want the ball. He wanted his centre-half just to play it long.
He's injured, come off. Schmeichel. Short to the right of his box for Carter Vickers. Then the low ball into the midfield for McCowan. He spins away from Levitt. Gets it fed to Engels on the centre spot. Fires it with the right foot to the left-hand side, looking for Yang. Miller slides in. There's obviously nothing wrong with Miller as he slides in, because it's a pretty good challenge, to be fair. And out for a throw into Celtic, level with the Hibs 18-yard line. Celtic are going to throw on Adam Ida in a moment. Schlupp to the left angle of the box for McCowan. Comes back to Jeffrey Schlupp. His pass forward cut out by Levitt. Away by Miller. Up towards Johan. Trusty's onto it. Up high into the air it goes. Flicked on by Yang. Levitt has it. And then Miller away. And then Johan on the turn. Good play by Eli Johan. He's managed to stab it to Hoylett. Gale ahead of him. Johan trying to get ahead of him as well. It's Junior Hoylett. He's looking for Gale. He's overhit the pass though. And we'll go behind on the other side of the goal for a goal kick. Celtic 1, Hibs 0, 83.5 on the clock.
Good play from Hibs. As the game's going on, I think Hibs are looking dangerous.
Right, so Kuhn will be coming off, Ida will be coming on. Was Kuhn getting a big ovation from the Celtic supporters today for his performance?
Yeah, he's been better today. He's been better, especially first half. I thought he was tired near in the second half. Gave the ball away a few times, and maybe the mindset of just stepping back and keeping the ball rather than going at the defender. But the first half, I thought he was productive.
John Collins, Hibs running out of time here.
They're still in the game, 1-0. The Celtic fans will get edgy the last 5 minutes. Can Hibs they'll get a chance. I think they'll get a chance. Get it to Hoylett's feet. Eli Johan's pace. Gale's a finisher. If you give him an opportunity, he'll finish.
I mean, those balls from Hoylett in the semis last season for Esther Sockler and Angus MacDonald's goals were sublime. Late in the 90 minutes and then late in extra time as Aberdeen took Celtic to penalties. And it was the Joe Hart show from then on, wasn't it? Schmeichel launches it forward with the right foot. Powerful header there by Miller. It breaks to Hatate on the halfway line. He's lost out. Now it's with Cadden. Forward to Johan. Couldn't quite return it to Cadden, and now it's with McCowan. Forward left to the centre circle for Hatate. Johan slides in. And it breaks kindly for Engels, who finds Yang just right of the centre circle, then out to Schlupp, and then a challenge from Schlupp's penalised, and that's going to be a Hibs free kick. He's brought Cadden down, and the yellow card comes out for the Celtic number 15.
Yeah, well, it gives the opportunity to Hibs to play that set piece. We talked about at the end of the first half, they didn't take the opportunity. This time, that ball will be played into an area. They've got big Bushiri. They've got, I'm looking at, they've got 1, 2, 3, probably 4, 5. I'm surprised Miller is going to go forward now.
Yeah, he'll go up. Ardale's up there. It's all about the delivery.
Final 5 minutes of the 90. And it is a Triantis free kick, level with the edge of the centre circle, right foot way too close to Kasper Schmeichel though. That is way too easy for the Celtic keeper.
Far too high and floaty. Exactly what a goalkeeper wants and what a centre forward does not want.
And a chance to cause havoc in the Celtic box comes and goes for Hibs. As there's a few more seconds, Celtic chip clear. It's Maida under pressure from Miller, midway inside his own half, and he's won the throw-in.
So now that Hibs have went to 4 at the back, now they've got better numbers higher up the pitch. Now they can press. Better numbers.
Yet reverting to the back 4, which of course was problematic for them early in the season. Bushiri prevents a ball forward getting through to Ida. It's with Miller. And back to Bushiri. Poor ball straight to Hatate. Now Maida. Infield to Yang. Now with McCowan. Left centre. Engels. And again, the Celtic fans not happy the ball didn't go forward there.
Yeah, McCowan. They're always used to that forward pass.
It's a high bar that's set here, Packy.
It is, very much so. And you're in the 86 minutes gone, 4 minutes.
They're going through the semis as it stands.
Yes, but it's again, like the decision is, do you manage the game or do you take a chance? And Celtic, I think, have trying to manage the game out. It's just a different mentality.
When Celtic have the ball, they go through the semi-finals. as Schlupp loses out, and now it's picked up by Hoylett, left of the centre circle. Johan ahead of him. Hoylett turns 360 and then rolls it back to the halfway line for Iredale. Now Levitt and now Miller on the near side. 2.5 at 90 left. It's with Cadden down the right, level with the Celtic penalty spot. Maida all over him. It's his challenge, beats it out. Cadden drops to the ground. Throw in Hibs, but they've got a problem here with Chris Cadden, whose twin brother Nicky went off injured in the first half for an apparent hamstring problem.
He's struggling, it looks like hamstring or lower back. Have they used all the subs?
He was clutching the small of his back earlier on, John, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's his back.
Chris Cadden. And they've brought 5 players on already, so we've seen Levitt, Johan, Obita, Hoylett and Gale have all come on. So can Chris Cadden soldier through the dying embers of this game? He's coming off just now, having received a bit of treatment, but it's a long Lewis Miller throw in here. The Hibs fans here in huge numbers for an away support at Celtic Park are watching in behind Kasper Schmeichel's goal just off to our right. What can Miller conjure up here? To get close to the end of the 90, Celtic 1 up. In comes the throw-in. Breaks towards Iredale, but Sloop does enough to clear. And it's at the halfway line with Obita. Hibs trying to come forward quickly here whilst they've still got numbers in the attacking thirds. Not a great ball forward by Levitt though. Easily away by Johnston as Yang picks up on the far side. Not a great ball by Yang though this time. Straight to Levitt, and then Bushiri returns in kind and turns it straight out for a throw-in to Celtic on this near side. We are in minute 90 at Celtic Park. The holders leading Hibs 1-0.
It's that stage of the game, a lot of tired legs out there and a lot of slack passes.
Sloop takes the throw into Engels, back towards Sloop, given away though, it's Cadden. McCowan wins it back ahead of Triantis though. Now it's Hatate, now out wide left it's Maida. Ida was in an offside position, but Maida's looking to put it through here for Yang, who puts his first time effort wide of the right hand post.
I mean, that is a tremendous cross from Maeda, inch perfect. Bounce maybe a little bit awkward for Yang, but he's got to be hitting the target.
The stoppage time is going to be 5 minutes. That's all Hibs have left to play with, because we are just about to go into the first of those. The Celtic leading 1-0 and heading back to Hampden as it stands. That's the 5 minutes confirmed. Here's Bushiri. Low ball for Miller. He's done well on the slide to knock it down the line for Cadden. Sloop digs it out though. And it breaks to Rocky Bushiri on this near side. Goes all the way back to Smith, who's done his level best to keep this unbeaten run going, keep Hibs Scottish Cup adventure going. They've already beaten Clydebank United. They scored late at Somerset to go through. Can they score late here? Not with balls like that, because Lewis Miller's put it straight to Kasper Schmeichel. Dwight Gale is the very embodiment of frustration at that.
He's absolutely raging. He's got to be doing better than that, Miller.
And they had more time to just settle on the ball. Gale was just probably trying to find his position to go and then make the second phase run, and he just plays it straight into the goalkeeper's arms.
Long for Kasper Schmeichel. The right foot comes off the head of Iredale, breaks to Obita. His ball forwards cut out by McCowan though. And now it's with Yang wide in the right for McCowan at the byline. Can Celtic finish it off here? Ida! Yes, he can! Ida, who scored the winning goal in last season's final, has just rubber-stamped Celtic's passage to the last 4 this term. Brilliant from Luke McCowan, down to the byline, pulled it back, and Ida finds the bottom left corner. The holders, the favourites, are going through to the semis. Celtic 2, Hibernian 0, and Hibs' unbeaten run is coming to an end here in Glasgow's East End.
Game over, a tremendous goal from Celtic's point of view. Yang, McCowan makes a terrific run, inside run, played to the byline. Looks like it may roll out, but he gets there just in time. A terrific cutback. And Ida, where you want your number 9 to be, in the 6-yard box, just pokes it into the corner.
Yeah, and it was a movement by either two to create a little bit of space for himself, and it was a perfect cut back, and then he just finishes with a plum into the back of the net.
Not too it's not too dissimilar to the goal that Maida had ruled out in the league game when Johnston's ball was adjudged to have stayed in. This time McCowan has kept it in play. I think Johnston and Celtic felt, and I think it's been reviewed that it was in the Easter Road as well. But that's it, game, set, match.
Yeah, it looks like it's all over now, 2-0. You can't see Hibs. That second goal should make it a nice last couple of minutes from Celtic's fans' point of view.
Hibs will be disappointed. They haven't created anywhere near the number of opportunities they did in the league game here in December, as Maida picks up Celtic lead for a third. Low ball across the 18-yard line, beats everyone in green and white, and it was out off a Hibs player for a throw-in to Celtic over on the far side. David Gray staring out into the middle distance down there. He'll be bitterly disappointed. The run had to come to an end at some point, but Hibs left cursing their luck this season because they've been sent here in both cup competitions. That's not what you want.
No, but I think overall Celtic have deserved it. They've created most chances in the game, and they've controlled good parts second half.
Here's Luke McCowan driving into the penalty area. Lovely play to the byline. Again goes McCowan, trying to score himself this time. Smith makes the block, and Celtic have a corner with about a minute and a half left of the stoppage time. Maybe a little bit added on top of that because of that second Celtic goal.
One thing I like about McCowan, he's always positive. He looks forward all the time. His first thought is, can I drive forward? Can I play forward? Can I get a shot off? Very terrific player, beats a player, gets the byline. I thought, should he cut it back from this angle? I'm not sure if it was the right choice.
Could have been playing for Hibs today, Luke McCowan. Hibs were desperate to sign him. Celtic gazumped them at the last.
He's a good
summer window.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Short corner back to Hatate down the line, then back to Engels, and now with Carter Vickers. Celtic are going to take some stopping. Big favourites to win a treble. The league just about in the bag, the League Cup already in the bag. And just who can stop them? Aberdeen, Hearts, with Livingston playing St Johnstone tomorrow. They'll have to play two of those four sides to win the trophy. Yet again, here's Hatate coming forward, and Johnston got himself into a good position on the right. Hatate elected not to play him in. He's looking for Maida instead. Maida's in. Maida goes round Smith, who reacts well. He gets down and makes a block. He's been excellent for Hibs today. Guys in Maida will be annoyed that he's not scored his second and put Celtic 3 up. It stays at 2-0 right at the end here.
Yeah, listen, now Hibs are really struggling to cope, but I've got to say the goalkeeper again. He stays on his feet and waits for the moment that he can go and collapse it, make his feet and make the save.
You pleaded with him to show you just how good a keeper he is today, and he's absolutely done that, hasn't he?
He's done that. He's lost 2 goals, but he had no chance. And the save he had for the first goal was magnificent. The second goal, he had no chance. But the saves he's had, and that just typifies it there at the end.
Yeah, he's been man of the match.
Final whistle. Celtic through to the semis. They've beaten Hibs 2-0 and ended the High B's 15-match unbeaten run as they look to win the Scottish Cup for a 43rd time. They've won 8 of the last 14, and they'll see no reason why they can't make it 9 out of 15. And Brendan Rodgers remains unbeaten in the competition, and they've only lost 2 of the last 39 Scottish Cup ties now as well. They're like a train in this tournament. Goals from Daizen Maida and Adam Ida at the end of each half have done for Hibernian, who've been just brilliant over the course of the last 3 months since they were last here and lost in the league. This is their first defeat since then, but their Scottish Cup dreams are over for another year, and their 7,000 supporters will leave Glasgow and back along the M8 disappointed. But for Celtic, the treble is still there for them, and it finished here to the blue skies in Glasgow. Celtic 2, Hibernian 0.
Celtic versus Hibernian.
Oh, this is why you love the game.
The Scottish Cup, live on Sportsound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Takes a touch and shoots and scores!
Where Scottish football lives.
So a 27th goal of the season from Scotland's top scorer this campaign set Celtic en route to victory. It was his 5th in the Scottish Cup this season, and the icing on the cake came very late on when Adam Ida, a clever finish from a intelligent cutback from Luke McCowan. Hibernian's 15-match run without defeat comes to an end. I've got to say, a heroic performance by Jordan Smith, who I see has just been congratulated there by Brendan Rodgers. It is Celtic who go through. It is not the result, I suppose, that Aberdeen and Hearts fans and nor Livingston or St Johnstone fans were hoping for in that one. The holders continue. Brendan Rodgers continues his dominance of the national knockout competition, and Celtic can look forward to the draw, which will take place at the conclusion of that one remaining tie. Remember, it's live on BBC Scotland tomorrow night. It's live with us here on Sports, and do join us for live commentary from Almond Vale as Livingston take on St Johnstone. And just a reminder that the highlights from that game we've just brought you, and indeed the two preceding ties, Sportscene tonight at 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel. By my reckoning, John Collins Hibernian had one real opportunity to score in the entire 90 minutes. That was a pretty dominant performance by the holders, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. From start to finish, Celtic passed the ball well. Total domination, but credit to Hibs, they dug in. I mean, they could have a lot of teams can lose a goal and they capitulate here, but they kept their shape. Second half, I thought they posed a few problems. I thought Boyle still looked sharp. I wouldn't have taken him off. I was surprised when he did come off, but Hibs never really created, never worked. Casper Schmeichel, I don't think he had a shot to save, but most teams that come here, it's always difficult. Lost to go, a bad time from Hibs' point of view late in the second half. Celtic did deserve to go in at least 1 or 2 goals in front. The reality is Celtic got better players all over the pitch. Hibs, could they have done any more? I don't think so. I think they gave it everything. I think the players will be going off the pitch now. The Hibs fans are happy with their teams giving them everything. The reality is they've not quite got the quality to come here at Celtic Park and create chances against a very good Celtic team. And with what was spoken about before the game, a Celtic team that can bring on substitutes that can create and score goals. They're bringing on quality. Hibs don't quite have that same quality coming off the bench.
No, they don't. No one does, and that's why Celtic are so dominant. I've got to say, it was a kind of strange game, and maybe because of what I was chatting about to you guys earlier on, Pat, about the hope that Hibernian might be able to feed off this fantastic run they've been on and to cause real problems for Celtic. But in essence, they really didn't lay a glove on the holders, and Celtic, well, they played at a level that just ensured that there was only ever going to be one winner, didn't they?
Yeah. No, you've summed it up well. And the chance you've mentioned the one chance that Hibs had in that quick throw-in in the first half. Celtic had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even at the end there are a couple of great chances. And I've got to say, the goalkeeper John Smith played really, really well. And another day, if he wasn't up to that, Celtic would have scored maybe 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 goals, and they were desperate for that second goal. They got caught actually in 2 minds, 2 trains of thought actually. Do we manage the game slightly, or do we keep doing what we normally do and just keep going forward? And some of the players and the crowd got a wee bit frustrated at times when they settled on the ball and passed it and maybe played the ball backwards instead of trying to hit that penetrating pass for a few runners going, but that's what you've got to do at times. You can't always go forward. You've got to have the other part of the game too, to be able to play it out and manage it, and then they get their goal near the end and just kill it off. And I think the crowd just wanted that second goal, and I think the management might have wanted it too, because that was always the case. When you're 1-0 up, there's always maybe a chance for Hibs, but that didn't come. That did not come, and Celtic will be very, very happy with the performance and getting into the semi-final again, and it's another Scottish one for Brendan Rodgers.
I was just looking at the overall stats for Celtic this season, Joan. That's 5 players who are in double figures. Callum McGregor's on 9. you'd fancy him to get to double figures. Luke McCowan is on double figures if you include the goals that he scored for Dundee earlier in the season. They've scored 128 goals so far this season. They've still got all the league matches to come, plus a Scottish Cup semi and potentially a final as well. I mean, they'll be in excess of 150 probably by the end of the campaign.
That's what makes it so difficult for the opposition to defend against a team. It's not one or two that score, and they score from all angles. Midfielders, even fullbacks, get forward and score goals. They've got quality all over the pitch. They make the pitch big, they tire you out when it's on just to keep possession and stretch you. They do it when it's on to cut you open and play the penetrating passes. They've got it. They've got pace at the top of the pitch. Now with Jota, you've got that trickery in the wider area. He's not got the out-and-out pace of Kuhn and Maeda, but he's got that little bit of magic in tight situations, and he can deliver balls into the box. And he's only going to get better because he hasn't played for a year and a half hardly. So we're only going to see him getting better and better. So treble's on.
It's 11v10. At Celtic, because John, you were talking about Schmeichel during the commentary, how comfortable he is with the ball, so they can go back to him in tight situations, even though their press may be high, and then they invariably work it around the press, or they go through the press, and you're almost taking about 3 or 4 players out of the game then, and that then allows you to have that ability then to go forward, and that's a challenge for any opposition when they come. When you do it, you've got to get it right. You've got to have pace also throughout the team, not just in the forward line, but in the midfielders. I thought actually the midfielders, they could have maybe changed that slightly, Habs, just to put a wee bit more pressure on, even when they were playing 3 at the back. And I know it's difficult, very, very difficult, but McGregor, he comes off, but while he was on the pitch, he still was in total control of what he was doing. And Celtic have got so many players throughout the team that are so comfortable on the ball. I can't see any player that's not comfortable, and they can play, they can move that ball, and every single one of them takes part in that whole possession game.
And that's all credit to the manager. He demands every single player, you take the ball under pressure. When one of your teammates got the ball, you've got to make an angle to receive it. And Packy's touched on Kasper Schmeichel. I mean, he's different class in possession of the ball. It's like having another outfield player. And what he does is, when they pass it back to him, he sucks centre forwards to 3 feet away from him. Most goalkeepers, when they get to 10 feet centre forwards, they panic. You see them speeding things up. He just says, keep coming towards me, keep coming, and then when he's about 2-3 feet away, he pops it out to the central defenders, and then the centre striker who's pressed him is completely out of the game. So their game plan, they're just so difficult to play against when they keep moving the ball like that. Hibs tried to press in the second half, but the reality was they're outnumbered. When you've got 5 at the back, and the way Celtic, every player's wanting it, the goalkeeper, Hibs centre forwards, they just ran, using up their energy. So often when they did have the ball, they never had the power in the legs to get away.
Just talking about Kasper Schmeichel, we don't know what Sinisola is going to be like with the ball with his feet and so on, but I think he's so important to the way that Celtic move the ball that's probably more or less why he plays all the time. And we don't know whether the other goalkeeper coming in could do exactly the same, but as soon as Schmeichel is finished also, they will have to find another player, another goalkeeper, if the young Finnish goalkeeper isn't good enough for that, because that is so critical to the way that Brendan Rodgers wants the game played.
When I'm looking at Kasper Schmeichel just now, he's got a couple of years left in him. I wouldn't be worrying about a new goalkeeper.
Do you think so?
He's still making saves. I mean, the goalkeepers don't do too much work, do they, Packy? Monday to Friday.
I mentioned the goals that Celtic have scored this season. I mean, it's phenomenal. I do remember Brendan Rodgers talking about, when he came back, it was about, we're just got to try to get even better than we have been. That's what we're always looking at. You talked about it earlier, Pat, about pushing on, and 128 goals. I was just having a quick look back. So the invincible season of 16-17, they scored 150 goals. They've already got 128. They've still, of course, got the rest of the season to complete. They've got at least 1, if not 2, Scottish Cup ties, and they've got 9 league games. So in the way they're rattling them in, I think they're going to beat that 150. And they've already scored more Then they scored in the whole of last season, only got 115. They had 105 3 seasons prior to that. They've had a 1-2-1 and a 1-2-6. So they're already, in the last 8 or 9 seasons, they've already scored more goals with 9 or 10 games, 11 games potentially to go. So, I mean, they could be setting a fair old record. I mean, I would think if you go back into the black and white days, there will be some season probably when they've got over 150. I certainly don't go all the way back in terms of my records there, but it just shows you how difficult it is for absolutely everyone. And one of those players I mentioned, McCowan, 6 goals for Celtic. He had already scored 3. Well, he's actually on 9 for the season. But John, you highlighted him. Let's have a quick look at the stats there. He's played 30 games for Celtic, just over half of them coming on as a sub. But he seems to make an impact every single time he's on the pitch for Celtic.
Well, I think what I like about it, I like midfielders taking it on the back foot and looking forward. First thing is, can he play it forward? Can he drive forward? Can he get a shot off? And the numbers and his stats tell you that. He likes to get shots off, he likes to play killer passes, make goals. So for young players, came from Dundee, it's hard for him because that midfield's tough to get into with Hatate, McGregor and Engels, but when he is getting his opportunities, every time he's coming on, he's making an impact. Brendan will be absolutely delighted.
Did you think he would get the amount of opportunities? Yeah. As I say, he did quite a few of these games are from the bench, but 30 so far, and the potential to get up possibly towards 40 for the season. That would be not a bad first campaign, would it? No,
it'd be a terrific first campaign from just getting his feet in the door. But also, you can tell he's got the respect of the manager, he's got the respect of his teammates. He's got a good football brain, he's got a good touch, he can drive forward with the ball. And again, he's positive. He's not scared to play those forward passes. He doesn't always play the safe sideways and backwards. He always wants to play penetrate. And when you've got front three like Celtic, they all want to make runs in behind. They're all got good movement. It's a nice team to be playing in, that's for sure, for a player like him.
And he looks like a Celtic player, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's fitted in so quickly and so well. I kind of have sort of similar sort of kind of description like McGregor, because he's always looking to get into space, get on the ball, he's on the move, he's looking to be part of that sort of build-up play. He's not just sitting watching the game, he's always looking, and you know, as John says, he can make runs into the box, he can get to the byline, which he showed today, but he can play in the middle of the pitch, and he works hard when he loses the ball also. So he's got all the attributes. He is small, but there were small players. We've seen Iniesta, those type of Xavi and Barcelona.
Callum McGregor.
Callum McGregor himself. So you don't always have to be a big guy to make it in football. But he's doing brilliant, and it's a great one for young players who've come through the pathway here in Scotland to say, listen, if I keep doing all the right things, keep working, there is an opportunity that I can go to one of the big clubs and progress, playing Champions League and so on and so forth. So that's the role models we want in Scotland.
I mean, often you get players come from the smaller clubs, no disrespect to Dundee, to Celtics, and it's like they look up to the other players and they play, they're always giving the ball to Cal McGregor, other teammates, instead he's taking responsibility. From the minute he stepped on the pitch here, I've thought, you know, this young kid, he's got that look about him. He wants the ball, his head's up, he's got that inner self-belief. Give me the ball, I'll deal with it. Somebody's up my backside, I'll take the ball in tight situations. He's got great belief, and to be a good football player and to play at big clubs like Celtic, you've got to have self-belief. And when he steps in the park, I see a player with self-belief that always wants the ball. So he's got a big future.
He's 27.
He's not young.
You know, obviously he has come up through the ranks. Was at Ayr United, of course. I remember Ian McCall talking very highly about him. Does it help then that he's a bit more mature when he's come to this stage of his career? So. He hasn't been pitched in as a 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah, I think so. It always helps your mentality when you come in, that you've been around the game for a while. But in saying that, you're still stepping into the Celtic dressing room with a lot of big players, you know, and the high pressure also that goes with that too. You've got to have something about you, you know, and until you experience it, and you've got to then just say, hey, I'm as good as what's there, and then get out and deliver, and that's what he's done. So yeah, great credit to him. And the fans like him.
And he's been a terrific signing. I mean, what, £1 million? What a great bit of business that is from Celtic's point of view. Wow.
He certainly has fitted in. He's played his parts this afternoon, coming on as a sub. He's created the second goal for Adamida, who flicked it away very nicely. We'll hear from both managers before we leave you at 5:30. Just a word about Hibs. It'll be disappointing, John, that the run has come to an end, but Celtic remain the only side to have beaten them since they lost 4-1 to Dundee on the 23rd of November. So they have to kind of put that in context, I suppose. It is still a fantastic run. The important thing now will be not to let this defeat get to them.
Well, exactly. I don't think it will. I mean, it's Celtic. It's in the cup. You're not expecting. Hibs aren't expecting to come here and win. Most teams are coming here hoping not to take a heavy defeat. They put on a decent show. It was difficult for them. They couldn't get any possession of the ball. They'll be disappointed not to have worked the Celtic goalkeeper more. But the positive is they kept going. They kept their shape. They kept working hard. That 15-game unbeaten run, that's in the league, so they'll be looking forward to getting back to business next week and hopefully continue that run. Can't be ashamed of the result of the performance here today. I thought work ethic was there. The shape, just with the shape, Celtic's 4-3-3 is so difficult to play against. They make the pitch so big. Make you work, and with Hibs having those three central defenders, as I've said before, it meant they were outnumbered all over the pitch. But a lot of work into Hibs, but at the end of the day, it's just Celtic far too good.
Yeah, John, you were talking before the game about the wing backs, maybe that they can get up and down the pitch. Yeah. That didn't really happen today because they had no opportunity to get on the ball. You've got to have the ball almost at the back or in midfield and have number of passes so your wing backs then can venture up the pitch a little bit and try to get maybe a switch of play to them so they're in a good area, but that never happened today. They couldn't get control of the game at all.
They never built from the back at all. The keeper went long. They never really held it up at the top of the pitch, giving the ball away. It makes it difficult, but they'll bounce back hopefully next week.
Well, unbeaten in 13 league matches, of course, 3 straight victories, and that's immediately what they have to tap into. They know that they've just stolen a march in Aberdeen, moving up into 3rd place, and that is what they have to concentrate on. Important, I suppose, that you talked about the wing-backs there and the inability for them to really get involved and to give Celtic any kind of defensive concerns at all. Nicky Cadden going off 10 minutes before the break, Pat Bonner, that was a tough one, and as John said, I think during the commentary, you just have to hope that it's nothing serious, that they've got him off, because he is an integral part of what they've been doing of late.
Yeah, and he was up against Kuhn today. It was difficult for him. At times he was up against 2 players. Johnson makes those runs, either it's an overlap or it's an inside run, and he gets, somebody has to track him because you can't do both, and that just then puts a wee doubt into your mind because Kuhn then is allowed to go on the inside, and that's what he did quite a bit in that early part of the game, and he created chances of that. But after that, he settled into the game like he can, and he defended well at the back post a few times, and so he knows how to defend, he knows how to get forward, and he's good enough on the ball. And I did say during commentary that I heard Tom Cowan talking about who would go into the international setup at the moment, who would be new coming in, and they were talking about him, so he'd be really disappointed if he's injured now, and he misses out for a while, but let's hope it's not too much.
Hibs fans, John, fingers crossed. It will be a concern. He's been their best player, biggest threat, great deliveries into the box, set pieces, and his work rate in the full-back areas. Today, both wing-backs, it was like they were basically playing as full-backs. The first 45 minutes were pinned back, nothing they can do. It was a back 5 Hibs were playing. They hardly got over the halfway line, the wing-backs, through no fault of their own. I think when it goes back to the goalkeeper and it's a by kick, that's when your central defenders have got to get on the ball and feed your wing-backs, but that never happened in the first half at all.
So they have to bounce back, they have to, and we'll hear from David Gray hopefully in just a few minutes' time, hear from Brendan Rodgers as well. Celtic can now look forward to a semi-final. Remember, the semi-finals will be played on the weekend of April the 18th and 19th, so it goes on the back burner for about 5 or 6 weeks. The draw, though, will be made tomorrow night. It'll be made at Almond following the Livingston St Johnstone tie, and that of course is going to be a very interesting one. St Johnstone have found some form in the last few months under Simo Valakari, but Livingston have been going great guns in the Championship, currently We're currently in third, just behind Ayr United on goal difference. A pair of them 6 points adrift of Falkirk, but it's been a very decent campaign for David Martindale and his team. Pat, they will fancy their chances against St Johnstone?
Yeah, and listen, they got relegated. That was tough on them, but they hung in for many years, and then they end up going down. But now that gives them something nice to look forward to now, and if they could get past St Johnstone to a semi-final, then you could see maybe David Martindale starting to get confidence in the team and starting to build. They're up there challenging to get back up again, and that's all he can do, work away at it. I'm not sure if many clubs would like them back up without the pitch that they have out there. We've seen that discussion many times, but that's nothing to do with David or his team. They've got to work away and try to, and if they could get to a semi-final, that would be a real boost to them, financially too, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. That was down at Livingston McCove in the last round, and there is this feeling that Livy, they're a big team that's kind of landed the Giants. It's all about strength and power, and they certainly have that to their game. But actually, they play a lot of decent football as well, and they've got some talented players in that Livingston side. If they can find their form, I think they could give St Johnstone a pretty difficult evening. But John, you've been impressed by Saints since Simo Valakari took over.
I have. I think that they're trying to play a good type of football, building from the back, going through the midfield. And for a team that's sitting at the bottom of the league, I watched their game against Hearts the other week, they're nice and relaxed in possession, which is very unusual for a team at the bottom of the league. I think it's all credit to the manager. He's getting the message across to his players to stay calm in possession, take the ball, be brave, and they've been creating chances as well. So I think it's always tough at Almondvale. AstroTurf suits the home team. They're anybody's game, that one.
Yeah, actually we did the programme from McDermott a few weeks back when Hearts beat St Johnstone by 2-1. It was Richard Foster during the commentary said the thing he likes about St Johnstone is they don't play they don't look like a team that believe they're at the bottom of the table. They actually don't play that way.
And I think that's all credit to the manager. I mean, that's such a difficult thing to do. Your team's at the bottom of the league. Normally they're short of confidence, their fans are on their back, and the last thing they want to do is build them and everybody wanting the ball. So he's given his players confidence. He's given them strict instructions. We want to play out from the back. So he's getting the message across to his players to be brave, make angles and want the ball. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's going to be a hard end to the season for him. He's got to pick up points as well as play good football. So that's a challenge for him. But what I'm seeing so far, I'm liking.
I think it's fair to say, Pat, isn't it, that Celtic probably won't care who they get, but actually the Hearts and Aberdeen will be looking at this tie and hoping that they get the winner of this one in the semi-final.
I would think so. I would think so. Celtic have got a really good record, as you've talked about before, and they love Hampden at the moment, and the way that they play the game, that big open pitch suits Celtic. So any team to get them will be probably the underdog, and I would assume it could be Livy, or it could be St Johnstone. Yeah. But you would love to come out on that side of the draw and get maybe either St Johnstone or Livingston. It gives you a real chance, and that. So from that perspective, nobody wants Celtic.
We'll have live commentary of that tomorrow night, the one remaining quarter-final in this season's Scottish Cup. It is Livingston against St Johnstone. Join us just after 7 o'clock for full live commentary on that one. It was a quarter-final afternoon in the Women's Scottish Cup. Motherwell are through to the last four. They beat Boroughmuir by 3-0. Aberdeen also went through. Now they trailed early to second tier St Johnstone, but got back on level terms and eventually went through by 4-1. Rangers were they were frustrated for a large part of the game against Spartans, but eventually went through by 2-0. 2 goals in the final quarter. The one remaining game, it's the big one between Hearts and Glasgow City. Glasgow City going in front through Nicole Kozlova midway through the first half. Bailey Hutchison with the equaliser on the stroke of half-time. Hutchison scored again with 11 minutes to go, only for Glasgow City to equalise through Lisa Forrest in the last minute. There was then a sending off for Hearts. Lizzie Waldy was red carded. They went into extra time and haven't got the scorer yet, but Glasgow City have just nudged in front in that one. So as it stands in the first half of extra time, It is Hearts Women 2, Glasgow City 3. Remember, Sports Scene is on tonight at 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel. You get extended highlights from that game. We've just brought you Celtic's 2-0 win against Hibernian. The action 2 from the ties on Friday night and Saturday lunchtime. And it's a busy week ahead. The Sports Sound will be on tomorrow night from 7 o'clock with live commentary of Livingston against St Johnstone. You can also watch that live on the BBC Scotland channel. The Scottish Football Daily podcast is published Monday to Friday. You can get that wherever you pick up your podcasts. Friday, there'll be the Championship live on BBC Scotland, Raith Rovers against Dunfermline. And our other live commentary of the week on Sports Sound will be on Thursday, John. It'll be Rangers against Fenerbahce. It's very difficult to know what on earth will happen there. When you think of what has happened to Rangers in the past month or so, the various things that have gone on and the various results, both positive and negative, that they have had. But what an opportunity after a remarkable victory in Turkey.
It was a terrific performance. They could have scored more goals. I was really surprised. I thought, I've got to be honest, I expected more of Fenerbahce. I thought they were a little bit one-paced all over the pitch, but Rangers passed the ball and pressed them really well. There was a confidence, and I think they were more relaxed, the players. Just in Europe, they seem to save their best performances for European nights. They struggle against the packed defences and teams that don't really want the ball. They kick it back to them and having to break down 10 men blocks round about the box. But it was an outstanding performance. Could have scored a lot more goals. Jose Mourinho has got his work cut out. Rangers big favourites now, 3-1 away from home. You've got to say they're big favourites.
I mean, it's right up there, Pat, isn't it, with the most notable results that Scottish teams have had in European football for quite some time.
Very much so. And I think most of us would be, I suppose, the management of Rangers won't be shocked because they've seen it this played out all season. But I think most of us, the way they are at the moment, with a change of manager, we didn't expect them to be able to go up against Fenerbahce with Mourinho out there, but they dominated the game. They scored as John says, 4 or 5 goals, and the few that was chalked off for offside was just right on the line. But the way that they were set up was very, very poor. At Fenerbahce, I thought they just played into Rangers' hands, but it was a great result for them.
Absolutely fantastic, and good luck to Rangers on Thursday night. Let's get some reaction then from Celtic Park. Kerty Nidsan just been joined by David Gray.
David, what's your predominant feeling and emotion right now?
Obviously it's disappointment straight after the game. We've not had this feeling for a long time, so it's never nice when you lose a game of football and find yourself out with the cup. We need to dust ourselves down quickly because our attention has to quickly change towards league form now. There's nothing we can't dwell on the result. I think the performance itself wasn't through a lack of effort. I thought the players gave us absolutely everything again. I thought the shape was good at times. I thought we defended well. And then I think when we did have opportunities to hurt Celtic, when we did turn the ball over, we weren't as good as we have been in recent weeks, and we probably let ourselves down on that front. But as I've said to the players there, we've been on an incredible run. We've not had this feeling for a long time, but we need to put it to bed as quickly as we can. We'll take the positives and the negatives in the game as we always do, and we need to get back on that training pitch and try and move on, and attention will quickly change towards Kilmarnock.
Over 7,000 Hibs fans applauded you in defeat at the end. That maybe says a lot about the journey that you've been on, as well as about today's performance.
It certainly does. Even the 7,000 coming through today were outstanding for 90 plus minutes, right through the whole game. Heard them through the whole game, and we're stuck right to the very end. Clapping us off at the end. It shows you how far we've come. We have been probably slightly unfortunate. It's both cups we've had to come here. It's the toughest test in Scottish football. We know that coming into the game, and as I've said, I think Celtic deserved to win the game. I thought they created the better chances. We had a real good chance in the first half. That was a big moment in the game, but we didn't do it often enough within the game. So I've got no complaints on what ended up happening after the 90 minutes, but I've certainly got nothing towards the players. I thought they were the effort they put in, everything that went into it. We'll move on for it.
You lost Nicky Cadden to injury. Do you know what the injury is and how bad it is? He's also been such a key player for you of late.
Yeah, I think as you touched on, Dave, very much a key player, but it's too early to say exactly what is. His hamstring tightened up when he was chasing back there, so we won't know until we do a bit more, see how that settles down in the next few days, and we'll move on. I'll have to assess it and then make sure we get him back as quick as we can, but it's too early to say exactly how significant it is.
Appreciate your time. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Cheers.
David Gray, he's right to point out, it's such a long time since they've felt this way. No complaints about the results, and he couldn't possibly have, I guess, in terms of how the game went. He accepted, John, that they weren't as good in certain aspects of the game as they have been during the course of this unbeaten run. But I think, as he acknowledged, it's not always easy to be as good when you're up against that Celtic team.
Yeah, he's always very honest after matches. First thing, he compliments his team on the effort. He's 100% correct. They work their socks off, every single player. That's been a big key feature during this run. Attitude of the players, the work ethic's been excellent. But the bottom line is he's up against a Celtic team that are terrific quality all over the pitch. They've got pace, they've got technical players, midfielders that can hurt you from shots outside the box, wingers that can get to the byline and get crosses, and wingers that can come inside and get shots on target. And Maeda, who's the hottest player in Scotland at the moment, sharp as attack. And he never mentioned his goalkeeper. I'm going to mention his goalkeeper. What a game Jordan Smith had. Made big saves at important times in the game, kept him in the game. And he also mentioned the fans. I thought the Hibs fans were terrific. 7,000 here, right behind the team. And nothing better when your fans are clapping you after a defeat. That tells you the fans know the players have given everything and both appreciate each other. So it's good news. On to the league game, Kilmarnock next week, and try and bounce back and get another back onto winning ways.
Richard's a great example, David Gray, though. For boards, for directors, for everybody. A young man trying to make his way, and they stick with him. That I've got to give credit to maybe Malcolm Mackay in the background also. People like that there that understands maybe what he's been trying to do, how he's been going about his business and all that, and they've stayed with him. And where they are now, in an incredible position, third in the league compared to where they were. So for me, I think that's, if I was talking about this, maybe about other managers and other positions, you've got to use that as the example to say, hold on a second, if you're trying to do the right thing, if you're working hard, and assess not just what they do on the pitch on a Saturday. I know it gets to a point where you have to make the change, but if you can see light at the end of the tunnel, stay with these young managers and give them the opportunity.
As it stands, Hibernian in third place, 43 points, Aberdeen 42, Dundee United 41, it's Motherwell 37, that's the top six. Hearts on 36, Ross County 35, St Mirren 34. First and foremost, John, it's only 4 games to the split. You don't see a collapse. You I assume, expect them to comfortably make the top 6 now at the very least to start with.
Yeah, I think we've got to see that. The form they're in, we've got a decent bench now. Players coming off the bench that can make an impact as well. No injuries, touch wood. Carden's the one today. A little bit worry for the manager. He's been such an important player during this magnificent run, but I think there's a confidence, there's a discipline within the team now, and there's a physicality. They look like they're strong, they're winning headers. As I said, in the wing back area, the two Carden brothers are to give terrific ammunition to the strikers. Bowie's only going to get fitter as the week's gone. He's had a tough time with injury, but he'll get fitter, more matches under his belt. And Boyle, I think, is looking sharp as attack. 32 years of age, quite amazing. His fitness levels and his sharpness. So it's looking good for Hibs just now, and a keeper that's in form, making saves. So he's ticking most of the boxes. Keeper making saves, forwards usually taking chances, wingers putting balls in the box, your 2 sitting midfielders. Triantis was okay today. Marais Welsh, they dug in, but they could have been tidier on the ball for me. A couple of times they gave the ball away too much. But in general, Hibs are in a good place. I mean, when you consider where they were 4 months ago, 3.5 months ago, bottom of the league. It's been a remarkable run, and I think it's going to be a real challenge between them and Aberdeen. If I was a betting man, it would be between them and Aberdeen. I think they've got slightly stronger squads than Dundee United, more resources, but Hibs have got the momentum, got to keep it going.
Yeah, so they're at Rugby Park next up, then they've got a home game against St Johnstone, they're at Ibrox against Rangers, they're at home to Dundee. I mean, you can look at fixtures, runs of fixtures any way you like, I suppose, back and go, well, you could do this or you could do that. The bottom line is, if they can maintain the kind of form they've shown in the league for the past few months, you would certainly see them getting the points they require to absolutely guarantee top 6. But Do you, like John, see them as favourites for third place?
Well, listen, there's a bit to go yet. They've got to bounce back from this now. Once you get a... Excuse me. I'm losing my voice here. Richard.
I think you've been struggling for large parts of the afternoon. Get that man a glass of water.
Excuse me. Yes, sorry. It's just... Oh, my God.
I think
I can't answer you. Sorry, carry on,
you can't.
John.
No, I fully understand that we've all been there when you've got that frog in your throat. It ain't clearing, especially if you're trying to talk. Look, we'll just have to make sure Pat's okay, but we'll leave it.
He looks okay.
That,
he's going to survive. He's going to survive.
There you go. John Collins has. Dr. Collins has pronounced. Right, look, we're going to have to leave it there. We had hoped to hear from Brendan Rodgers, but there's been some kind of delay there, so sadly we are going to have to leave it. Guys, thank you so much for your contribution over the course of the afternoon. Celtic beating Hibernian by 2-0. We know 3 teams through to the semi-finals of this season's Scottish Cup: Heart of Midlothian, Aberdeen and Celtic. It'll be either Livingston or St Johnstone. Join us again tomorrow night at 7 for full live commentary of that one. And at the end of that, we'll know not only the lineup for the last 4, but also the draw for the semi-finals of this season's Scottish Cup. From me, Richard Gordon, the rest of the Sports Sound team, enjoy your Sunday evening as we hand over to your request with Gary Innes.
Your requests with Gary Innes on BBC Radio Scotland.
Good evening and welcome to your requests on this gorgeous sun-filled night. We're with you from now right up until 7 o'clock, and as the sun starts to set in the west, here is Michael Bublé to remind us just how beautiful a day it has been.